Dude, Victor.
Yeah.
Cool with Victor, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining me, man. Like we were kind of talking briefly is I love having conversation with people. I've seen you around the gym a couple times, and then somehow I got served one of your videos on Instagram. I was like, I've seen this dude. I'm like, is this the guy that's in the gym? And I started digging, and sure as shit, it was you. And I saw what you're doing now business-wise and what you got going on. And so I reached out, and we kind of talked briefly, and I was like, dude, you got to come on the show.
Yeah.
And so
we're here.
I appreciate you coming, making time. I know you got a busy schedule coming up and you're taking off, so it was kind of a last minute thing to get you on. But dude, let's before we jump in, something I do is I give veterans and law enforcement, small businesses opportunities to send us stuff to give to guests. So I don't know if you're a cigar guy. We got the platoon cigars with a War Machine. He was a active duty, a combat Marine, got out, became a cop, got shot in the line of duty. And then C-State Coffee will send you home with some cold brews. These things are like crack, especially if you're going to be traveling, doing driving. They'll keep you wired for days with some coffee beans as well. He's a recon Marine and a local guy here, so really cool dude. Cool. So yeah, we kind of just give everybody opportunities to send us to give to guests, and it's just to help out anybody that with a small business trying to grow and give them some love. So, Victor, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this because you did some time behind bars. You did about 10 years for gang violence or
drug sales, gang
affiliation. You've been shot 2 different times. You have, been through the ropes a couple of times. Yeah. You've come out on top, I would say, after going through and digging. You've kind of changed your life around. You're running a business now and doing the tattoo, and the guys with their hair loss, I might have to hit you up on that. Yeah. Fatherhood's new, and just you've changed your life completely from what it looked like in the past, and that's where I'm really curious and wanted to have this conversation with you because I love talking to dudes that have been through it all, and they've gone from the highs to lows to highs again, and it's part of life, and you've probably have learned a lot and have grown a lot from that. So yeah, let's just dive into it, dude. Where are you from?
I'm from Caldwell.
Oh, you're a local boy. Local. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Caldwell. Business is in Boise. There's more money out here, and I ain't never heard of anybody get rich off of hey homie hook it up. So business is good.
Good, dude.
This is good. It's a different little environment, still away from home, but still close enough to go visit.
Absolutely. So what was it like growing up as a kid in Caldwell before it was what it is now?
So I'm half Mexican, half white. And there was that where I wasn't white enough or Mexican enough for certain sides of my family. So I was caught in this like limbo.
Okay.
School-wise, I guess family life was a little hectic. I got 6 sisters, single mom. Role models that were in the picture weren't the best, so they normalized a lot of stuff growing up that a lot of chaos. So there was a lot of drug abuse, physical abuse. Yeah.
Who were the role models when you were a kid?
Cousins, family members, just like people around my mom.
Okay. And as far as the pecking order, you said you had also. Are you the only boy out of all girls?
Only boy.
Where do you fall in line with that?
Second to the oldest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you weren't bossed around by all the sisters growing up.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. No, it was different growing up.
Yeah.
My uncle told my mom, "You're either gonna have a really gay son or really mean daughters." And they ruthless.
Are they?
I'm gonna tell you that right now. They're mean, but it's cool. It's been it's been fun.
How was your mom? I mean, a single mom with so you're the 7th kid, right? You had 6 sisters. How was that for your mom? I mean, you're the second oldest. Watching your mom grind it out as a young kid.
I grew up with my mom. So it was, I'm seeing this from a child's perspective. And now looking back at it as an adult, I'm like, damn, there's a lot that comes into play when being a parent.
Absolutely.
Like I'm experiencing that right now with my daughter, and yeah, it's hectic. It's
Very.
hectic. Like I'm going into the restroom and I'm having to use the restroom. I'm having to change your diet. Like there's just so much that I don't think we really fully understand. Even women going through, you know. So to be like 7 kids, like,
They don't get enough credit, huh?
no, they don't. They don't.
And as a kid and being young and dumb, I mean, we don't respect it or appreciate it, I should say,
Yeah.
at that time, what our moms are actually putting up with, and
Yeah.
not only trying to keep a house together, but raise kids, bring in funds,
You
put
know,
food on the table.
and the support, right? That unconditional love. Like I was 16 years old. I got jumped at a house party and I shot this guy and like my face was blasted on the news for the shooting, gang involvement, and my mom, she was still there like that's my son, right? So she always seen the good in me, my fullest potential, regardless of where I was at in my life. So to switch up everything that I've done, and she's like, yeah, it's still the same support, but she's like, I could tell she's seen it this whole time, you know.
That's something that's pretty special, and the fact that you're able to see it now as an adult,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's one of those things where you're able to go back and be like, like thank you for never giving up or never quitting.
Yeah, I remember. So 31 years old, I'm walking out of prison, and I got 10 years in and out of the prison system, and I've felt like I've painted myself to be the biggest, the baddest, the most intimate. Because when you're in prison, it's like, all right, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna stay ready. I'm gonna be active with it, and that's gonna be holding a lot of people at bay, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna test this guy, you know. But I don't know, man. I got out of prison at 31 years old, not knowing who I was and trying to figure that out. And when you start digging, you start finding out shit. And I think during COVID, especially during COVID lockdown, for the first 2 months of COVID, we were locked down. For the first 2 months, we were able to come out of our cells every 2 weeks for 15 minutes. Like,
Damn.
that's a whole lot of time to be in a cell with your world's biggest critic, yourself, and then somebody else going through what they're going through, and these death tolls rising in red numbers on all the TVs. So it was different.
And you're not even, I mean, you can't even reach out to the outside world and see what's actually going on. You're just going off of what the news is portraying on TV.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up. You're 16 years old. You're at a house party and you shot a guy. What led to that?
So I had my daughter at 16. I was pretty actively. I got jumped in at like 13, and I was just escaping, running away from. Like, looking back at it now, I know what I was escaping from, and it was sexual abuse at the house from my aunt. And
Onto you?
Yeah.
Really?
So she wasn't my blood aunt, but she grew up. She changed my diaper. She brought me my first jersey, and there was so many. Like, I didn't have a male figure that was there that I could go to and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, do I like it? But I don't like it. I know it's wrong, but I'm just so lost right now.
Confused.
Right. So for me to escape, I actually escaped to the streets, and it wasn't like my mom was like, all right, son, I want you to be a gang member when you grow up. Yeah. But it was my way to escape from that situation that led me into the relationships that I built out on the street, and it kind of sucks looking back at it, a 13-year-old kid escaping home where you're supposed to be safe, to getting jumped in, sawed-off shotgun, walking around. Like, ain't no kid needs to be walking around with a sawed-off shotgun, Like, I just... It's crazy to think.
But at the time, it's the mindset, and like you said, you don't know what you're escaping from, and I feel a lot of people never find out what they're escaping from.
And it didn't hit me until later on, until
sure.
This self-discovery and just this, where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
So,
how long did the sexual abuse go on for?
It happened for like a month.
Okay.
And it was within that month, like 3 times, and. It was usually at night, everybody's in bed and in the darkness.
No shit. And obviously you have no idea what's going on. And so when you, I don't want to say we're lashing out, but when you started to go to the streets, how were you pulled into that? How are these kids? Because obviously it's different ways. They're using, like the gangs will use kids to push drugs or whatever, carry out whatever they need to do, so they're not getting hit for it. Because obviously being minors, but like, did you know these guys, or was like a friend through a friend, where his brother was in a gang and then you got pulled in? Like, how do you get pulled in as 13 years old to a gang?
Who I went to school with, like there's a lot of similarities growing up, and I feel like you attract what's going on in your life.
For sure.
So there was other kids out there probably experiencing the same thing, and we clicked. They were escaping too. Like, why weren't they home?
Yeah.
So
you started skipping school and just.
Yeah, I was a shit stick, man. To the point where my mom's like she's trying to control me. She's not understanding what's going on, right? I don't speak on it. And bipolar, ADD, all of these pills that they were trying to feed me, where I like a lot of that time growing up, like I too much weight, I'd gain too much weight on these pills, lose weight, not sleep too much. Like there was just so much going on. I was getting diagnosed with these things that they were trying to pinpoint what was going on with me, and I feel like the biggest thing was like nobody asked me, hey, what's going on?
Because you're battling trauma, not ADHD and everything. You're just trying to figure out how to cope.
Yeah.
And they're just feeding you pills, which is probably compounding on everything else.
It was a mess. So school was just in and out, skipping school, getting high, selling drugs, just a mess. Yeah. And then I made my way up to like I said, 16 years old, and I was still going to like alternative schools, and I tried to do like me and my daughter's mom thing. My mom, so our house got shot up on, I think it was Mother's Day, and she goes, I mean, luckily my daughter wasn't there, but my mom goes, you want to give me something for Mother's Day, take you and your family and get out, like go to Twin Falls, go work out there, figure something out. And I did. So I dipped out to Twin with my family, with my daughter and my daughter's mom, and we were 16 years old.
That's wild.
Like to think that, oh yeah, hey, we're packing up, leaving. Like I had no business packing up anything and leaving. You know what I mean? I was still a kid. So we went out there, and again, there was just, the chaos was normalized, right? The relationship with my daughter's mom, like I knew, okay, I got to work, I got to support my family, and I got a job doing dairy work. I was herding cows, and that was 7 days a week, or 6 days a week. If I wanted a day off, I'd have to put in a double shift, and it's like, you ain't trying to do nothing on that seventh day if you
sleeping.
Yeah. So to find balance, with my daughter's mom and like even her, she was a kid, you know what I mean? And then we have a kid, and we were playing house, and it didn't end up working out, and she ended up moving back to Caldwell, Nampa, and like 3 months later, I was like, fuck, I want my daughter, I want to be involved, right? So I come back, and at the time, Caldwell, Nampa was popping with just gang activity, and there's a lot of shootings, a lot of killings, and I came back, and I remember stopping at this pawn shop, and I got a little 22, and I'm like, I'm buying it. It's legit. A little 22. I'll keep it on me. It's enough to cause a spark and hear bang. And I remember going to this house party, and right before I got off, I'm like, I told this girl, and I look back at her. I'm like, if I had to tell this girl, hey, let me see who's here before we get off, what the fuck am I doing there? Mm-hmm. So I get off, and I'm walking up, and before I even hit the sidewalk, I seen just a whole bunch of people look over. I kind of feel like it was a setup, like they knew I was coming because they were just out there, right? And they started throwing up, where they're from, and I turned around. You know what I mean? I'm not dumb, so I turned around, and I just remember going and reaching the hand on the door to open it, and I hear, "Hey, what do you claim?" And when I turned around, that's when he got one on me, and it got into a little confrontation, and last punch I got on him, he stumbled back, and then I just seen everybody else rush in, and I started dumping. I emptied the clip.
Really?
And yeah, there's a lot of you know, a lot of these kids, a lot of these people that think like I'm gonna be a gangster, I'm gonna bang on someone, right? I'm shoot someone. That like they're aiming for that, but they don't understand what comes with that, right? It was everything was slowed down. It was the cry from this guy, from this other kid. It was the bang. It was the flash. It was the screams, the scatter. Like there's so many. There's so much that comes with that.
For sure. The split of a split second.
Yeah, yeah. With the quickness, and it was like I knew at that point. Like I jumped in the car and I dipped out, and I just remember, even with the girl that I was with, I was like, I'm like, yeah, just like let's go, let's go, let's go, and like I don't know, 5 minutes into it, she's like, her verbiage kind of changed to like, is it okay if I turn this way? Is it okay if I turn? Can I? And I'm like, she's now scared. She's asking me permission. She's asking me like, and I'm like, hey, are you good? She's like, I don't know if you're gonna kill me. I've never been in a situation like this, and like, again, a split second can turn shit sideways.
For sure.
You know, with everybody involved.
Did you know you hit somebody immediately?
Yeah, I knew it.
Do you remember like what went through your mind when you was there any regret, or were you just fight or flight at this moment?
I was straight survival mode right now, or in that moment, survival mode.
That's scary, man.
Yeah, and then to leave and not know, hey, did this guy die? Did you know what I mean? Like, you hear stories all the time, and it just takes one.
Were you repping anybody at this point, or were you just getting back into the? Okay, so they knew.
They knew. They were rivals. They knew what it was when they seen me, and yeah.
It all went down that quick. You didn't even get onto the sidewalk.
No.
Damn, it almost does seem like a setup.
Yeah. So I was on the run for like 2 weeks. They hit my grandma's house. They hit my mom's, my sister's, my aunt's house.
Where were you hiding out at?
I was in Oregon.
Oh yeah, you dipped.
Yeah, I was gone.
Don't blame you.
But there comes a point where it's like they're hitting your grandma's house.
Yeah.
What the fuck's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, go turn yourself in. Don't. It's too personal at that point. It's like grandma don't need to see that. My mom don't need to see that. You know. So yeah, I turned myself in. Plus, I didn't want to get shot. You know what I mean? Once they know that, and at this time it was me against them, right? That was the mentality. So it was like, yeah, I'm gonna turn myself in because I ain't trying to get got.
So can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Since you're repping and you get in a gang rival shootout and shoot one of them, did your boys have you back, or are you on your own at this point?
Define that, because I have a hard time. Like, did they have
did you have support from who you were repping?
Yeah.
Did they stick it out? Were they helping you through this, or were they like, yo, you got to go, and that was it?
I think that's what it is in any situation like this. You know what I mean? Hey, you're not going to bring the heat around here.
Okay.
But then again, you get to a point where I wouldn't expect that, you know?
And the reason I ask that is because, you know, I had personally a buddy that got caught up in a bike gang, and I told him the whole entire time, dude, you're done. And then he ended up getting caught up, and he was done immediately. But as a kid, and these kids get pulled into these gangs, and it's family, and they're your boys. Were they there, or was it just were you on your own? That's the only.
So I was still a kid, right? When I got jumped in, I was 13. I got handed a sawed-off shotgun. Hey, here you go. And they asked me. They didn't know how old I was.
Really?
And my homies asked me, like, they asked me how old I was. I told them, and being still a kid, looking at these grown men, once they heard my age, you could just tell that. They felt bad.
Really?
Like the whole energy shift. They're like, "Fuck."
This is after you got jumped in?
So I've always been bigger than my age, you know. So once they heard that, you could tell. So I've always got a lot of love from the older ones, and it's because of that. So, and that's kind of how I knew, like, hey, these guys, like, I'm dealing with my aunt, you know. There was no remorse. There was no nothing. And then to come to the streets, and after I get fucked up by all these grown men, and to see that these guys gave a fuck, they felt some type of way afterwards, that connected me even more so with them. You know, it was like, yeah.
What was it like getting jumped in? When you're 13 years old and you're getting jumped in by grown ass men, I mean, that's a pretty legit.
It's a pride thing. It's a pride thing. I'm a part of something. And then again, I grew up with 6 sisters, so for me, like, that's what we did. That's what we did. So
Wasn't just a normal thing, huh?
yeah.
It's wild. So when you went to turn yourself in, what was your thought process? I mean, there's a buildup. I mean, your stress level's got to be maxed. I don't care who you are. If you know you're turning yourself in, you got to be thinking like, fuck, like how's this gonna play out? Like, what you're coming back from Oregon? What's the thought process at this point?
It was the unknown, right? And at this time, I'm 16 years old. I'm on the news for this shooting, and then my daughter, right? My daughter comes to mind, and it's like I knew my whole life was just at that moment it was done. Like I wasn't a father. I wasn't a son, a brother. I wasn't this dairyman anymore, right? Like I know I'm gonna be locked up for a while, and the only reason why I turned myself in really is because they're like, hey, you fight this. You fight this because there was communication, right? Turn yourself in. If you don't, then you're gonna get hit with the gang enhancement. You'll get charged as an adult. And once they so I already knew I'm coming into this, and I already knew that I'm getting charged as a juvenile.
Okay.
So it's going to be on my juvenile record, and that's what it was, you know. But there's a lot. Like I don't really think I thought that far in advance, like
Okay.
what was to come. And again, 16 to my first 3.5 years, I was 16 years old when I went in. That's a big transition period in anybody's life.
Huge.
You know, so I didn't know what was coming.
So when you say you got what? How long did you end up getting? You said 3 years for that.
3.5 years.
3.5
Juvenile
years
prison.
for that. What was it like going to juvie?
It's more confined now that I know about the adult side of things. You're confined. You're locked down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that a lot of these kids are in there right now, secluded. They're just there's a lot that's going on in there, and they're dealing with this shit all by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a deeper hurt there. There's a deeper trauma event. You know.
Is there help in juvie? I mean, do you guys get to talk to people, or
So you can tell that there is staff members that actually do care, right? But then it's just like anything else. Even as an instructor in what I do, I have to like shield myself because there's only so much you could do with somebody
Okay.
or for somebody, and like they got to do it themselves. And I feel like when you're on that side, you're a correctional officer in a juvenile facility. I don't know. I know how I would feel. I have over 20 nieces and nephews. That'd be pretty hard for me. But you could feel that some of these guys, they really did care.
I know you were a lot. Go ahead.
More so at the juvenile prison than this turnover juvie.
Because the reason I asked that question or have some curiosity for it is because me personally, I feel our correctional system is the most broken, corrupt thing that we have in this country besides politics, right? And it blows my mind. Even talking to like law enforcement officers or correctional officers, and they even speak on it like it's so corrupt by the money and how it's run. I could only imagine when children are involved of what the dark side is going on in these juvenile facilities that have these kids locked up for 18, 19 hours a day during such a crucial time of their life.
Development, a whole bunch of
And then now, instead of learning skills and learning how to be a young man,
they're prepping me for prison. That's
really
what they did. That's what they did. That's how I feel. Like it was, hey. But again, in the juvenile prison, it was different because it was more of they call it a therapeutic community at the time.
Okay.
And there's out there in St. Anthony, there's 12 groups. There's 12 people in these groups, and they're broken down into categories of charges. So you got 2 sex offender groups, you got a gang group, drug and alcohol. You know, there's 2 female groups, and it's just broken down. And you're like the COs there or the staff members, they don't put you down, like they don't hold you down. Like let's say me and you, we get in an altercation, right? Both of us are getting laid out by the group and we're getting held down. It's called peer restraint. There's circle like session ups where like I'm telling you, hey, put your behavior in check. You either agree to it or not, and then it goes into something deeper where we all circle up if you continue the behavior, and we're focusing on just a variety of different like behavior patterns, misleading others, easily misled, anger, just so many, right? And it's up to us as these kids going through this program to pinpoint what behavior problem you're dealing with to better look at our own.
Okay.
You know, and during this time frame, everybody's different. As far like for me, because of the shooting, like I had a gang PO, and there was no love there. Like she's like, hey, he's fronting. I don't care how good he does in this program. He's fronting. We don't fronting. Like,
okay.
Yeah, faking.
Oh, really? So no matter if you were actually making progress
Yeah.
or not, it didn't matter.
So it took 3.5 years for me to even. I was ready for my release in this program, probably a year in, and it sucked because I kept seeing people go, and at the time I didn't see my family because I was on the other side of Idaho. My mom had 6 sisters, and she was her business, and I didn't see any of them.
Yeah.
My daughter, you know, it was phone calls home, but we don't come for money, so it was different.
Mm-hmm. So you're there on your own.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration there too because I'm seeing these sex offenders get these visits, and it's like somebody showed up for them, you know, and it was hard at the time. It was hard because like I didn't fully understand what my mom was experiencing, like taking care of 6 kids. Like you little fucker, you went and shot somebody, you got locked up. I can't be there. Like I didn't understand that at the time, you know.
Was there animosity like built up? Did you come out angry because of that?
It was almost just like I was completely separated from everybody, and I to be connected to my family now, even in a relationship, like I'm disconnected, emotionally unavailable, as my exes have said. And when you lose, when you lose, like for me, I lost my daughter at 16. I lost my whole family. It felt like at 16 years old. I lost myself. So for me to get in relationships and be like, oh, you're going to leave? Oh, okay. Like, bye. I've done it. Like, there's nothing anybody could do that will put me in that headspace. It happened, you know. Even in relationships now, I'm like, it's fucked up because when I get involved with a female, in my head, I'm like, you know, it's a prison thing where I'm like, I already envision her sleeping with somebody. That way, if it was to happen, it hurts less. And that's a fucked up way to even. How do you connect with somebody on an intimate level? How do you build trust when you've already seen them as an enemy? You know, so there's a lot of things that I felt like prison it fucked me up.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially as a kid, and then you come out. Were you welcomed home with?
I was kicked out of Canyon County. I wasn't able to come back because of the crime, and I got put out here in Boise, and I was at this juvenile halfway house, and it just sucked because it's like, all right, there's these checkoff lists, right? Getting out, and looking back at it now, it was like the system taught me to live here. It never taught me how to fill out an LLC, what to do to pay my taxes. It taught me one of these checkoff lists is, all right, you must eat 5 meals at, what is it? Life's Kitchen. It's like a homeless shelter where they go and feed, right? They feed people, and you go and show up, and you get, hey, I went and I ate there. Here, check this off. And then, oh, hey, this is how you feel. You know how to fill out food stamps. And it was just like, it was twisted. It was twisted to be like, all right, cool. I got food stamps. Like,
do you look at that now, like being as an adult? Was that just like an accountability check for the state? So like, oh, hey, he's eating food, or hey, he's able to take care of himself. Like, Was it them actually carrying and forcing you to food? Because if you would you even eat, or you just going up getting a signature and dipping?
I would give my food away to somebody there, and I would just dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just more like a state, just okay, yeah, this kid.
Well, you got to think about it too. Is state requirement. These facilities and they're making money,
Yeah.
right? They got funding coming in, and you can't put a program together without these requirements of this. It's money.
Mm-hmm.
It's money. That's
Big,
what it is.
big time money driven. Say, so after you get out and you come to Boise, you're in this youth halfway house. What's life like? Are you able to get back with your daughter? Is your daughter?
It's very distant. It's very distant just because she's out here in Caldwell and I was out there in Boise. And then I had all these programming stuff to do. And then I also had 2 jobs at the time. It was like KFC and Burger King. And then group on top of it all. So there was very like little time for like me. I think there was like Sundays or something that I was able to have my daughter come out.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, what was life like? I mean, you start getting back on track, or did you fall back into the
So
gang?
I got out. I ended up getting out of that program, and I ended up moving out to Twin again. And I got shot out there, and I was at this. I got approved to go out there. One night, I ended up going to this pool hall, and I'm in this pool hall, and I get in. It was all ego. It was all kid shit where I lock eyes with this guy. He pops off. I say something. I get kicked out of the spot because I think they knew him there. And then I leave, and I just remember when I left, it was probably 4 or 5 blocks down, and I see this big truck pull up, and he gets off his truck, starts walking up to me, just talking shit. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a very good shit talker, but I'll smack you pretty quick.
For sure. Yeah.
By the time I get in reach of him, I just start going at him. And I remember last punch I get on him, he stumbles back, and then I just seen it come out. He lets loose, and yeah, I get shot. It was a gut shot, so it hit my stomach, came out my backside. And I think it was a shock for him because you're going to shoot one time. I don't know what was going on through his mind, but I know what he did was he got in his ride and he dipped out pretty quick. So I was left there, and I just remember like kind of like snapping out of it. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna die, but I need an ambulance. And
So you knew you were shot immediately? Yeah, you felt it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember going to this bar that was open, and I went up, and they're like, "Where's your ID?" I'm like, "I'm not here to drink. I need a ambulance. What do you guys call it?" They're like, "Nah, you're good. And I lifted up my shirt, and I was just drenched with blood, right? And there was an old timer. He's like, sit him down. So they're on the phone with the ambulance. The cops get there first, and instantly, like I was there, I'm the victim. They seen me, and they actually throw me around, start frisking me, put me in cuffs, and the ambulance get there, and they're like, fuck you guys doing? Like,
really?
Shot, he's shot. Is there any weapons? Is he the shooter? And what's like where I'm at in my life right now is I want to be very clear about I'm not placing blame, and I deserved everything that was coming to me because that was the energy that I was putting out, and I realize that now.
Absolutely.
So me being a little shit stick, me being involved in gangs, like I got what was coming to me, and I can't be mad about that. But it took me a long time to understand that, because again, the first time I get it, I shot somebody. But what sucks about even that situation is I got jumped. If I was somebody different, I don't feel like I would have got time. I felt like if my mom had money, if we come from money, I wouldn't have got no. It would have been self-defense.
You got time for a dude getting out and shooting you?
No. So I was talking about the first time.
Okay. I was like,
well, check this out. So second time, this situation, they actually violate my probation, not for getting shot, because I was out past curfew, and if I wasn't out past curfew, I wouldn't have got shot. So that was a technicality that they got me on, and they threw me in county. They brought me back to Canyon County, and it was at the time where they had 3 bunks stacked. And that was it was a frustrating situation. It was a frustrating situation because, again, I know the first time it was me. I still feel some type of way about it, like it was self defense, but I'll take it. Second time I get shot, you guys are throwing me in the cage, and the judge was like, you know what, Mr. Villarreal, we understand the situation. This is what I want to do for you. I want you to. I'm going to give you 30 days in county. You could heal up in county, and you're off juvenile parole. Good luck as an adult. So he threw me in county, and they put me on the 3rd bunk.
And so you have to climb up and down this bunk with a bullet wound through your belt.
So I had 26 staples. It was exploratory surgery, so they took everything out, made sure that,
cleaned you up.
You know, a lot of the time when you get hit anywhere in the stomach, like there's some sort of internal bleeding or vital organ that's hit, and again, in and out. But yeah, 26 staples, and I remember it was another situation that like my homies were there, they had my back, and I ended up getting out of the shower one night, and I getting up on my bunk, and I slipped and my stomach tore, and like I started bleeding, and these CO or these deputies, they wanted me to fill out a medical form. And a kite comes in. That's like a 2-week thing. Like, I'm bleeding right here, right now. And then my older homies, they're like, nah, we're going to get you a bottom bunk. You're going to take my bunk. And it was almost like this little riot popped off because they wanted to make a big issue about giving me a bunk and making me wait 2 weeks. And again, it was one of those situations that, like, they got me, you know?
Yeah. So you do 30 days there, and the judge telling you, like, when you're done with probation and everything, good luck as an adult. That's his way of saying you fuck up again. You're.
Yeah. Well, I think there was genuine like it was a genuine good luck being an adult.
Okay.
I don't think there was no ill intent behind his words. I think he understood, like, man, this gang unit, this prosecutor and attorney, they do not like this kid.
Yeah.
And it was very, very clear. So
you do the 30 days there and get out, and then what's next for you?
Back in Caldwell. And I'm
back, huh?
I'm trying to figure out. Well, it's even worse because now, like, I've spent time away from my homies, and I come back, and it's like now there's this more of a connection, and it's the older homies, and now it's different hoods, and it's just networking and more involvement, and yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to, like, really maintain a job. I didn't know who the fuck I was. There was just so many things that I just didn't know, and I was kind of just in limbo. I was trying to be a dad, but I didn't know how to be a dad. I'm trying to connect with this little girl, and
she's what, 4 by now?
4 or 5, yeah.
So she doesn't really. Does she know you? Do you have
she knows that I'm dad, but she doesn't, like. There's a completely different understanding of what a father is, and
absolutely.
This guy, he's they say he's my dad.
You just hold the title at this point.
Yeah.
And that's not. I mean, is that affecting you at this age, or
I don't
is
think
it not really sunk in?
It didn't affect me. It didn't affect me because I was prioritizing relationships with other females. I was not my daughter, not with myself. I was disconnected from my family, so there was that connection was more towards my homies because they were there with me in misery,
for sure.
You know, and that was kind of a hard thing that loyalty to kind of break away from.
Yeah, man. It's so crazy how from such a young age, and one mistake, right or wrong, you just instantly peel, and there's no. This is where I feel like our facilities and these correctional and juvie and everything, like, they're not. All it could have taken was a little correction, pulling you. Hey, cool.
But there's no money in that.
There isn't. The money's in the facilities.
I've been to all of the facilities here in Idaho, and I'm thinking as an addict, right? I'm like, these are potentially, these prison compounds could be converted over into detox centers. And it's like, why isn't that happening? Why is it that these prison beds are always booked?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now in the service industry, a booking that was pre-planned, that was premeditated. That's what I want.
Well, when you look at prison not as prison but as a business,
Yeah.
that's when it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense from a business point of view. But if you look at it like, hey, this is how we're taking care of people that are making mistakes, big or little, when you get pulled into the correctional facility, you're almost being pulled in as a permanent member because, like, I've talked to guys that have gone in for the stupidest drug charge, and then they instantly get pulled into a gang. Then they're tasked to carry out whatever the gang needs them to, and then they're stacking time, and then here a kid that went in for maybe 6 to 8 months stint has now got 5-6 years on him.
And face tattoos. You know, it's, yeah, no,
It's wild, man. Like, and it's so corrupt to me, and like, it just blows my mind, and that's where a big part of this conversation was when I saw that you did 10 years. Like, I have so many questions behind it because it's like, how is this happening? Yeah. How does our government or our states look at our facilities and be like, this is the best option for these people? Now, I get it. There's some motherfuckers that need to be in there for life. Like anything kid related, sexual assault shit, you're beating the shit out of. Cool. To me, at least for my opinion, you're going. Now, if you're getting caught with pounds of fentanyl and shit, that's hard to argue. But if you get some kid that's getting like a weed charge or has got some coke or a couple pills or whatever, and they're getting put into this instead of like a rehabilitation program or, hey, let's clean your shit up. This is how you start a business, how you start your life. But instead it's good luck.
So even as an addict, right? You're like, okay, a lot of these people that are getting hit with these charges that are carrying 5 years, chances are they just needed a taste of what misery was to snap back and be like, I don't want nothing to do with it. But you put them into the system, you put them in, you hit them with these charges, they're labeled as felons, and you pull them out of society for a very long time. Like a year or 6 months is a long time to be pulled out of society. Yeah. And how do you snap back from that? So I do feel like, it's twisted. It's twisted.
I understand what you're saying too, and I've never done time, but on deployments, I mean, dude, you're gone a year or better.
Yeah.
And I remember we would come back, and it's like there's all new phones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's new models of cars that come out. It's you don't think about that type of stuff, but when you come back, it's like you're coming back. When we would come back from overseas, it's like everybody's life continued, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm back. Like, what's going on? And you think you're right where you left off. And I mean, I'm not comparing it in any ways, but
there is a comparison.
That's how I would. I remember it was weird for the first week or two, but obviously we're not coming out, with a felony. We're able to, we're still in the military and able to continue our jobs. But I couldn't even imagine being like young, 18, 19 years old, doing 3, 4, 5 years, doing what you had to do, be in prison to survive, depending on tiers and what cell block you're in or get stuck on, and then you all of a sudden now you're back in the society, and they're like, yeah, good luck fitting right back in and being an upstanding citizen again. Like, good luck.
You have me in Max. You have me in these more secure parts of the county jails or whatever, and you don't trust me to do this, but then you release me out to society. That's weird.
You didn't trust me yesterday, but now I'm free today.
And not only that, but think about how many other people are like. There's a lot of bad people out there, and what I know what people are capable of.
For sure, I'm sure.
I know. I've read paperwork. I've seen what monsters could do, and that's another mindfuck. That's why I'm so protective over my sisters, and so from when I got out. I was kind of like in this autopilot, and I was selling dope. It led up to the second time I got shot. So this time, like I said, I was doing me. I wasn't doing any, like, there was no goal. There was no nothing. I was just existing, making money, and not saving up for nothing. Not trying to make it out of nowhere. Like, Yeah, I ended up getting shot, and this time it was by some tweakers from where I'm from,
Okay.
and it hit my left hip, grazed my right. Well, it was a pinhead away from my urethra. Grazed my right nut, came outside. Uh, my sac went back in, and my inner thigh came back out the other side.
Didn't hit a femoral.
It didn't hit nothing.
So did you get shot from behind or at an angle?
So I went to turn,
Oh.
and as soon as they started dumping, I just it just the angle that they got me at. But
Were you targeted, or was it just into a crowd? Like, walk me through that situation. How did you end up getting shot for the second time?
I was going out. I was going out to Cowgirls in Cuna at the time, and I was in Caldwell. We were gassing up and getting drinks to head out. And like I said, they were tweakers. They knew who I was, and they were just methed out. And yeah.
What were you selling at the time?
So up until then, it was just green. I didn't want nothing to do with anything white. I seen what it did to my family growing up. It just killed every temptation for me to even want it.
Okay.
Or want to try it, want to do it, want to sell it, want to, yeah.
When did that switch?
What?
Did you always just stay selling weed, or did you?
So after I got shot.
Okay, yeah. So back on that. Sorry, I have somebody. My mind
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah, you're good.
it's fascinating. So okay, so you get caught up at a gas station with a couple tweakers. What did they come specifically like?
They were already there. They were already there. They just seen me and like
How did it start? I mean, was it shit talking? I mean,
it was a look. It's always a look.
Okay,
It's always
for
that
sure.
fucking look, and it turns into something bigger, and then ego gets involved, and I'm going back. And when you're a big guy,
Everybody wants to challenge you.
Well, they don't want to fight you. They probably want to shoot you, But and that's what happened. Is I went to walk up to the car, and they just started dumping.
Really?
And they let off 6 shots. As soon as I seen that gun come out, I went to run, and I ain't never been a quick runner, so I got.
Did you drop? I mean, you get shot in the hips. It's almost.
I was gone.
Really?
I ran like 5-6 blocks down, and then I see these headlights come over. I'm like, So I'm hearing cops coming. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's the cops, but it ended up being my ride. And they took me to the hospital. And I got to the hospital, and I just started ripping off because I knew I was shot, and there was just blood everywhere. Right?
Are you feeling it?
No.
What'd they shoot you with?
45. Yeah.
Damn, you took a 45 through your hip, through a testicle, through your right leg, and you ran 5 blocks?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Adrenaline.
Oh, adrenaline is a hell of a drug, for sure. Damn, dude.
So after I got shot, it was a big situation, especially like who was involved, this, that. I don't really want to touch on that.
Yep.
But cops said, hey, since you want to be uncooperative, nobody's been found guilty or has pled guilty, and it's not a life-threatening wound, you got to pay for your surgery yourself. I come from, all I know is hustle. 3 days later, I sell to an undercover. The first time I ever sold meth. I went to go pick up. They said, hey, we ain't got nothing green, but we got this. And I just felt like the stage was set, and I fucking performed. So
damn,
they waited a whole year to hit me with charges.
Were they just building on you?
They were trying to get guns. They were trying to get me to sell guns because at the time I had my concealed license permit.
Okay.
So in Idaho, if you purchase a gun 90 days, 30 days out from that purchase, you could sell that gun to somebody that's legit. And anyways, they were trying to get some guns off me, and it just never.
So you never got caught for the guns?
No, because it was legit sales,
Mm-hmm. Damn, man.
So yeah, I ended up. They waited a whole year to hit me with charges, and at this time, I was smoking weed at the time, just cause for the pain, right? 2 different times getting shot, 6 bullet holes in me, exploratory surgery. Like I'm pretty beat up, scar tissue tears and whatnot, and they hit me with the charges. I got a paid lawyer, and I got hit with they hit me with trafficking methamphetamine. I got it got dropped down to delivery of a controlled substance, withheld judgment, and I took the charge. At the time, I could have fought this case because a whole surveillance team was there. No pictures were taken. Nobody could identify me. The color of my vehicle was there's 4 or 5 different colors, and it was enough too, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know what it was. I was like, hey, felon, I got to drop to delivery. That was a win.
Okay.
I ain't locked up. 3 years. I got to do 3 years, and I'll get off paper. Cool, run it. So I took it.
Damn, dude, just like that. Huh?
Yeah, and then they told me, all right, we only better see opiates in your system, because that's what I got scripts for it.
Okay.
No more weed. Okay. And I'm like, all right. And a year later, man, like those scripts turned into heroin, IV drug use, methadone. I tried to get on methadone to get off it, but it was trading one high for the other, and it was legit. And my PO was cool with it, and they ended up hitting the house. Gang unit, the task force hits the house, and I was just gone on methadone. And they're like, "What are we gonna find?" I'm like, 8 grams of weed. It's downstairs. You're gonna find it. And they're like, "What were you gonna do with it?" And I was so fucking gone on methadone that I was like, "Well, I was gonna celebrate. I was gonna smoke it. I've been on for a year." And they're like, and I was like, "But that was a dumb idea." I decided I could have made an extra buck off it to pay for cost of supervision. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And then my PO's, I remember him looking at me like, "Okay, that's what we're going to do?" And he goes, "You know what? I'm going to give you 7 days discretionary, and I want you to get out, keep doing what you're doing." And I'm like, "All right." So I go in, stay high the whole time in county. They're bringing me methadone in county. You know what I mean? So I'm you know, that's like a delivery of you're still getting high. It was
so
crazy.
Are you using it all, or now that you're getting a script in prison, are you able to?
Well, it was in county.
Sorry, county. Were you able to make something on the side, or were you using it all?
There was other stuff to make money off of.
Okay.
So yeah, I get out from doing those 7 days, probably a month in, from being out. I end up seeing these undercover cars pass by, and I'm like, there's too much traffic, something's up, and I dip out the back. 30 minutes later, they hit the house, and they hit the house. The warrant was felony possession with intent to deliver of 8 grams of weed.
That they already got you on prior.
Well, they gave me the discretionary. They didn't hit me with the charges.
Okay, so you think they were just building everything they could during that time that they let you for that 7 days?
But that was the weed that they found. 8 grams of weed, felony possession with it, because I said I could have made an extra buck off it.
Damn, dude.
So I was in this like limbo thing. I was pissed. I took it as I could have fought the charge, and I reached out to a buddy of mine. I'm like, "What do you think? What do you think I should do?" And he's like, "Well, dog, like you're pretty gone. You could detox. Use this as a detox. Get out. You'll go through a rider program, a 3-month rider program, 6 month. You'll be out on the streets. Like, take it as that." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So I end up doing it, and I go through this program through the prison. It's up in Cottonwood, and they called it the TC. Or I don't know, TC. I think TC. Again, it was another holding people accountable, right? So people would hit people with misdemeanors, like leaving your ID at the bunk. You have to do this program if you're going to be there. Everybody knows what it is when you walk in. Some people are hitting motherfuckers with some pretty serious things, because you got a variety of different types of people, and there's not a lot of people that are wanting to go to prison, but they're not made for prison, but they're made for this program.
Okay.
You know, so you got a variety of different people, and everybody's just trying to get out. And you know, I came from the streets to get away and detox through this program, and a 3-month rider turned into a 9-month one. And
Why?
Then I had a public defender that they don't. This guy's like, "Hey, redo your PSI. You're supposed to do your PSI, pre-sentence investigation. you could, even if you get hit with it within a year, 2 years, whatever, it's still the same points.
Okay.
So what they did was I retook this one because he's like, yeah, retake it. You could get a lower program. Maybe you won't even get a program if you don't qualify. Well, they stacked the points against me from the first time I did the PSI to the second time, and it doubled up on me, and I ended up going for the most intense program there was.
Really?
Yeah. So,
I mean, is that a good thing, or did you not need it? I mean, because obviously if they're stacking points on you from past shit.
it was destined. It was
Okay.
destined to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was destined to happen. But I'm going through this program, and this whole program is to hold others accountable while looking at your own, right? And still, I'm with my homies. There's some homies there, and one of my homies, like, we don't come from this, all right, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to put my, you know what I mean? It's not like that. You mind your business, you know?
You stay in your lane.
Yeah, so there's 3 cardinal rules in this program. It's no sexually acting out, drug and alcohol, or violence. You do any of those 3, you're done. You're gone, right?
Can I ask you a question real quick? You're in a full facility.
Yeah.
Is this its own separate?
Yeah, up in Cottonwood.
Okay, so you're not in like prison
Yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in up Cottonwood for this program that is specific to help get you back on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the 3 cardinals, right? And I grew up with a lot of these guys. Not only did I grow up with a lot of them, I was in juvenile prison with them as well, and now I'm in this prison or this program. So there's a relationship already built and established, right? And one of my homies got relinquished being kicked out of the program, sent to do his time, because when he would do the program, when he would hold others accountable, he would be too aggressive.
Okay.
But psychologically, if you really look at this comparison to the two, me holding somebody accountable and not understanding the feelings that come with it is so similar to a confrontation.
For sure.
Right? So that's what this guy, what my homie was aligning it with. So all these feelings of comparison, like, oh, what if he jumps? What if he, you know what I mean?
So your boy is holding people accountable, but not knowing how to hold people accountable.
Yeah. Too aggressive.
Okay.
And he ends up getting relinquished and sent to do his time because it was frustrating to me because I understood him, right? I understood what was going on, but this facility that's in charge of teaching us to think differently couldn't figure it out.
So now you're watching this system kick your buddy out because he's doing what he thought he was doing the right thing, but he doesn't know how to correct people. Yeah. I mean, y'all are in there for a reason. It's not like you guys are coming from being a leadership position, but now you're expected to police your own. I feel like that's kind of almost a setup in a way. Like if you're doing what he feels is right, maybe it's not the right thing.
Yeah, and I think it was a month later, 2 months later. It has nothing to do with the race. It has nothing to do with. So there was 2 white guys. One was gay. They were in the shower. The gay guy grabs this guy's dick, and that was a sexual advancement, right? Well, that guy goes to the CO and says, "Hey, this is the situation. This is just what happened."
Yeah,
and that CO told him, go get an apology from him and see where that goes. And when I heard this situation go down, I'm like, I was pissed. I was pissed because it's like, how are you going to do that with my homie? You just sent my homie to, I don't care who, if we're playing this fair card.
Yeah. It's principle.
You know, why? So, and again, it was just time after time after time, the system wasn't fair. And I just felt like, who's going to say something? And I ended up in this program, there's a booking slip system, right? So you write out so I'm writing up CO Erickson for not following through with job duties when it came to a sexual advancement on another inmate. I didn't care what happened between these inmates. It was strictly the CEO.
Yeah.
The next morning, I put this slip in that night. The next morning, they called me to the bubble. My case manager, this CO, and the corporal, captain, whatever. And captain tells me, "You're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong." You sure you want to do this?
Really?
And I'm like, that's this whole program, is to hold others accountable while looking at your own. And we got into this like back and forth conversation, and like I knew it wasn't going to work out in my favor because the CO that I filled the slip out, my case manager is here allowing this conversation to take place, and she's in control of my release. And then the captain is supposed to be looking over everybody and keeping this balance and power, right? This is all playing out, and I just told him, I said, hey, you know what? I'll leave it alone. I'll pull out. And I left it alone. And then probably another month later, at my 8th month mark, they shut down the program. Says the recidivism rate it wasn't working. The program wasn't working. Within 24 hours, they had everything pulled off the wall. All the program that we've done for this past 8 months in the trash. Nothing counted. Booking systems, nothing counted. It was like county jail all over again.
Oh my God.
And I'm like a month out, right? I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. Am I going to be released? Is there another program I'm going to have to do? There was just so much. And you know what? Going through that, I still felt like, I think maybe it was ego. Maybe I just felt like I got punked out by this motherfucking captain.
Yep.
This CO, my case manager, the one that I'm supposed to like, I'm supposed to, hey, if there's any problems and you need to talk about anything that's going on the outs, what about what's going on right now, right here in this situation? You want me to go through counseling and talk and let you guys in when I know who you guys are?
Mm-hmm.
It was very frustrating. And, you know, I was heated. And I remember I called my mom. I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm gonna do a PREA call on this situation. She's
What's
like,
that?
PREA call is prison rape prevention. You call in if you know that you've been sexually assaulted or you know of a sexual assault, right? And it's supposed to be, honestly, man, I thought it was like a very hush-hush thing, and there was an outside agency that was going to fly in on a helicopter, pull us out and take it. But yeah, I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I gotta do something. She's like, son, just keep your nose down and just get out. And I couldn't let it go.
It was festering in you.
And I did the call. Hey, I'm aware of a sexual advancement that took place on another inmate that a CO was aware of, and they didn't do nothing about it. Shortly after, 30 minutes later, that same captain and same CO came and got me. And they said, you couldn't just leave it alone, huh? So they did the paperwork, this paperwork that I've never seen after I signed everything. I've never seen it before. 2 weeks later, it was militant in the beginning, but that was part of the program, right? Marching, during count time, you had to stay up, and they got me on this bullshit as, I was laying down during count because my belt loop was touching the bunk. That's what they sent me to prison for, to do my time. That's what they relinquished me to do my time. And I was so pissed. I was so mad. I didn't have control over anything. They sent me to this holding prison, Orofino, for transit to get back to the prison. I never was able to talk to the judge and be like, hey, this is the situation. This is what happened. All this paperwork that I signed with the priest I'm pretty sure, tossed in the trash.
Oh, for sure.
And again, this is the system. This is their representatives. This is the people that are saying, hey, we're holding you accountable and we're teaching you how to hold others accountable, looking at your behaviors, but don't look at ours. And
it's all for thee, but not for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're expecting you guys this is what blows my mind. Yeah. Where these guys, you're in a program that's built off of accountability, structure, holding you guys in, policing your own, but meanwhile you're trying to report something that's happening, and the COs or whoever's in charge are doing the most blatant shit right back to you.
And it's weird because it's like, again, like I got love for my homies because I was there with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand. It took a while to understand that, you know, my homies weren't there because they weren't like, hey, Vic's locked up right now. I'm going to get locked up. I'm going to catch this felony. I'm going to go hang out with him just to make sure he's safe, just to give him this soup, just to give him this soap, just to make sure he has some shoes or whatever, you know? Yeah. We were in a place of misery. Mm-hmm. So I understand that now, but I do understand that the love that was shown was genuine, and we were all going through it, and we were all getting mistreated, and that brought us even closer together, you know, because
you're getting trauma bonded in there even tighter.
Yeah. So, you know, I leave this prison. I didn't like for 2 weeks. This is the prison they send PC cases to, the lowest of the low. Like, and they put me in general population, and I already got wind from the homies. Hey, just don't talk to nobody. Don't fuck with nobody. Don't buy nothing off nobody. Don't associate with nobody. Make it out here to the yard. So yeah, I went through this. I ended up getting out to the prison, and I was really hoping I'd be able to get in front of a judge. It never happened. And now I'm over here. I'm calling my family. Hey, Mom, it wasn't me. Hey, this is what happened, Mom. Now that I could talk to you and tell you what's going on, because I couldn't at the other facility because they're listening. I had to talk to my daughter's mom and tell her, hey, like this time it wasn't me. Like I wasn't being a shit stick. Like I was stuck up for something right, and it was yeah, okay, big. You know, it was hard. I was in a place, and especially right there I stayed away from meth because I seen it growing up. Right now, I go to prison, and you know everybody's active. Like I'm looking around this tier, and everybody's looking at you like, what are you gonna do?
Okay.
Who are you? What makes like? What are you? What are you? And I remember the first time I did meth was in prison.
Really?
That first 2 weeks there. Within that first 2 weeks at the prison when I hit, and again it was like there's some homies, and then there's some motherfuckers that love the chaos, the havoc, everything that comes with it. They don't care. They want this misery, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to decipher who's who or what they're going through in life that's going to determine that, right? But yeah, the first time I got high was right there, and I remember looking around, and again, when you're being sized up and you're being questioned, like, all right, if this is what monsters do, and I'm labeled the monster, this is what we're gonna do.
Question for you: never done meth before, right? Mm-hmm. Until this point, what possessed you to try meth?
Misery. Really? I was pissed. I was heated. I felt like I was unheard. I was forgot about. I just didn't care.
You just
I didn't want to feel nothing. Up? Yeah, I didn't want to feel nothing.
Damn, dude, that's scary. That you went from a program.
I back up. I came from the streets to escape addiction, to sober up, to get in my right state of mind, and then to be put in a program and then sent to prison, and then be fucking, hey, here's meth and a needle. What are you gonna do? You know. And at the end of the day, again, now where I see it, where I am at in my life, I know the accountability is on me. Like, I know what I've done.
Absolutely.
But
you're putting a cauldron, you're putting this pot that's just, it's created to create chaos.
But if you don't know, if you don't know,
absolutely,
then that's the problem. That's the problem is we don't know what else is outside of that if we've never been shown it. You know?
So when you got transferred to prison from the program that's supposed to be helping you with all of this, I mean, obviously you've done juvie, you're in this program, so you've been in and out of the system. You have a taste of it. What was it like going and getting transferred to Gen Pop in a prison for the first night? Like, was it a different feeling and in like an atmosphere for you? And how, I got so many questions.
Yeah.
We'll start there, but like also, do you have to put on like a persona, like a front of even bigger than who you are because you're walking in the Gen Pop at the same time and you're getting sized up and you're going to be tested by everybody?
So the prison that I was at, the landing is called the Yard.
Okay.
And you got a variety of different types of people from different types of areas. And it's very like, y'all motherfuckers are going to get along, and if you don't, then you don't get along, and that's what it is.
And fight it out.
Yeah. So it was in being on meth in the war zone. I remember, being on meth in the war zone. enhanced it even more. I fucked around for like 3 weeks, and I was done. I could not just be in that prison's already bad. So to
Yes.
be in, yeah,
To be compounding meth on top of trying to survive in prison.
yeah. But even the spot that I was at, it was intake, right? So there's just a lot of things that aren't established just yet because you're getting processed. You're going to get sent out to wherever, right? And,
How long is that process?
2-3 weeks.
Okay, so you're not just showing up. Here's your strip, clothes, bunk. Here's your cell. You're in it. So now you're in a process. So you're not thrown to the wolves the first right when
No,
you walk in.
You are. It's even worse because your prison ink hasn't been captured. They don't know who you run with, and they're housing all of you guys. So it's even
Really?
even charges. You got sex offenders that come in, and you're doing paper checks, making sure that your house is clean, pretty much.
What do you mean by that? Like everybody on your cell or in your
Yeah.
room is not
yeah.
a sex offender?
Yeah, not a sex offender.
They're checking for that.
Yeah. And then there's some guy like it's twisted. It's twisted because it's just, and then again on meth, you're dealing with all this shit going on. You're
So you said you started at your second weekend.
yeah.
So you're still getting processed, and so you're not even.
Yeah, I'm still not even getting pictures taken of my tattoos, right? So I'm over here on meth, dealing with COs, taking pictures and stuff, and everybody's getting observation and assessment, right? And their charges are getting all right. Hey, where does his points fall? Where STG or not? Tattoos is all of it's getting laid out, right? And again, to be in that headspace in war zone, like there's so much going on, and then you think you have enough time to call out to your family? You don't.
Okay.
You don't. And then why the fuck? You ever been on the phone in prison on meth, trying to? It's all bad. There's just,
God bless her. It's like, how do people hearing this? It's like, how do you even make it out of there?
headstrong. There's so many people I've seen like think that they want that type of life, and
It ain't it.
it ain't it. I've seen so many people that were really with it fall short, fall shy, and they're the ones that saying, "Hey, if this ever happens, I'm jumping. If this ever happens, this is what I'm doing." Don't ever say that until you're put in that situation. You don't know what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing that I got taught was I would be like, just you judge, and when you place judgment out there, and then karma comes back around, and how are you gonna react and respond like that? That hits different.
Yep.
So you learn what I don't know. For me, it was like, okay, I won't speak on nothing until I know.
So once you get processed, you go through that, which is a couple of weeks.
So my points, they drop. Well,
You speak of points. I know what points are, but for people listening, when you're getting processed or every time you get caught up and get sentenced again, you're going back, you're earning points, or are they
so it's
earning
a
them?
different type of point system when you're going in through like a rider program.
Okay.
And then when you get to a prison, it's a different point system that is taking into consideration your DORs, things that you've been written up for, your charges themselves, like they will stack up. So yeah, it's just where they see where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah. So they finally observed, assessed, and they're like, all right, you're going to the farm. My charges were 8 grams of weed. Felony possession.
What's the farm?
The farm is a work center.
Okay.
Not a work center, but it's a lower security prison. And I had homies that are like, bro, go. You're gonna be doing this over there, and I won't get into it, but we'll have you do some stuff over there, and like, yeah, go enjoy, and like your points are low. You know, it'd be
So that's
different.
a privilege.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
So I was able to work. I was able to work in the go off compound and work on the road crews. So these highways, clean up, whatever, Sims, the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there was things that I was able to do. I got my CDL there. And
Okay, so this is benefiting you. I don't hear much
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
these
no.
types of things. So this is a good program for you. Are you still on meth at this point?
No, like after that 2-3 week period, I was done. Like,
Okay.
I didn't want nothing to do with it. And then when I found out I was going there, I'm like,
Can't fuck this up.
you know. So there was just a lot of weight that was lifted off
Okay.
because of where I was going. But there was still this, it's you're in prison, but you're not in prison, but you're going to conduct yourself as if you were somewhere higher up in the prison system. You know what I mean? Like, still conduct yourself accordingly.
Okay. So you're not letting your guard down. You're still head on a swivel,
Yeah,
even though.
Yeah.
Why though? I mean, if all these guys are in this program and you're getting benefits, when I say benefits, you're able to leave and you're not locked up for 20 hours a day.
Ego. It's all ego.
Everything goes back to it, huh?
Yeah, it's all ego. It's all. I remember after I got my parole date in 2017, I paroled out. But before, I got my date for a year. I had it for a year, and it was over the microwave. It was over a fucking microwave. Me taking somebody's food out once it beeped, okay? And I put my food in, and dude's banging on me like, "Hey, you touched my food without the beeper going off." I'm like, "It beeped." And I ain't got time for this. Like, if you wanna deal with it, we could go to the bathroom. And I'm hoping that this motherfucker is smart enough to be like, okay, no, right? And he's like, let's go. And I go and I break this dude's nose. And as soon as I break it, I'm like, right? I'm like, you good? You done? He's like, yeah, but they're gonna know. And I'm like, yeah, they are, because just this facility, people talk.
Okay.
Right. It's a
little
very
more
minimum.
free.
Yeah. Like, people will talk. So the next day we got put in the hole, and I told him, I said, "Hey doc, I know you're from Caldwell. I'm easy to find in Caldwell. It's going to be real easy to find you. What's the story? What do you want to do?" And he's like, "I went in the bathroom. I scared you, and you lifted up. You hit my head with your nose. Like, I scared you." And that was a story, and we ended up, we both got to keep our dates.
Really?
But again, it was ego. It was ego over a fucking microwave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I ended up getting out, and yeah.
So during that time, you're locked up. You're doing this program. You're able to go out. You're at the farm.
Mm.
Was there any significant changes in your life that you found then? I mean, are you starting to
Autopilot.
Yeah. Are you not? Are you at this point? I just ask. I don't know if a religious man or not, but are you starting to kind of figure your life out and get things on track? Are you talking to God, or are you just grinding it out and trying not to get in any more trouble?
So when it comes to religion, it's scary being in the system and understanding what comes with religion.
Okay. How so?
Let's say I'm an active gang member, and I start saying, "Hey, I'm religious now." You're going to get a pass. But if you fall out of line, you're going to get caught. You get caught with pornos. You get caught calling your mom, yelling at her. There's things that are not Christian-like. You will get held accountable.
Really?
And that's the scare factor, because it's like, and then you got other prisons that's like, I've seen it all, man. I've seen some really...
Like what?
People go into church in certain prisons for ulterior reasons.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know what it is, but I guess back in 80s, 90s, like, I was told that men were like raping other men because they were told either you take their life or you take their manhood. Mm-hmm. Right? 2020, this generation that we're living in, like, it's, people are just freely doing gay shit.
Do you see? Okay, I gotta ask.
Ask away.
You see a lot of that shit.
Yeah. And it's just weird because you in the prison system now. Before, maybe it was once like honorable. It was once, but I don't know, because I'm looking at it from a perspective of looking in, and I'm thinking that's what it is, and then I get to prison, and it's not what it is. Like, you could be a lame. You could be you could, they have PC and IMSI. They have protective custody in max prisons. Just because you're in a max prison doesn't mean you're a solid guy.
See, and this is a huge problem that I think the wife and I were talking about not too long ago, because I was talking about how they put these sex offenders and rapes, child predators and protect and PC. And she's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? They separate them? And I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah.
like that blows my mind that a child predator gets special treatment
Yeah.
because they can't put him in gen pop. Like if you're going to get sentenced and you're a child predator, you should be thrown right into the
Yeah.
fucking wolves with everybody else.
But that's the thing is, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you know how frustrating it is to have society once given many chances of you touching kids or you doing this sexual bullshit, right? And then you getting tossed in with, because they will come through, and then you put hands on them. Guess what?
You're
I'm getting charged. I'm getting thrown in the hole. Why? Why am I only good to society when I'm taking care of this dirty laundry that you guys have, but I'm still, there's still repercussions for me. Like that's hard. That's a hard. Like at that point, you feel used. Yeah. You feel like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? You know. And again, like, man, I know what monsters are capable of. Like there was this one situation where I read through this guy's paperwork and he put a baby in a, and like the feelings that come with that, you know, I'm a dad, but then I'm like, I'm active with it, right? And it still touches your heart
for sure.
You know, there's just a lot. There's a lot that people don't know about that's not out there. And, you know, going through the prison system, we see things. We see things, and it's hard to snap back. It's hard to see the good in people. It's hard to put trust in people, you know?
I feel, and here you are trying to survive. And then you're reading this guy's, because you're doing a paper check, obviously, right? How does that feel when you see this guy and he gets special treatment because he put a baby in a microwave, and here you are with Gen Pop trying to survive?
Yeah. The world is not fair.
It isn't.
The world's not fair.
It's an inch. That environment is the most chaotic, confusing, corrupt world, and here you guys are just trying to make it and get to that date and get the fuck out of there. And you're dealing with dudes like that.
And it's a lot of like moral, like where do you stand as a man? Like, okay, you got this other thing going on, and then you like, I've looked at guys and I've seen like there's no soul left in them, and I don't know. It's hard to judge why there's no soul. Is it a sexual abuse situation? Is it because they've seen these monsters and they've seen what they're capable of and they've lost themselves in it? You know what I mean? It's just so much deeper to where, like, yeah.
I appreciate sharing this, man. I know it's not easy. And the majority of this world lives so sheltered and comfortable. And this is why I want to thank you for opening up about this type of stuff. I know, and it's hard I look at a guy like you, and I think society would see dudes that are tatted, and you're like, oh, that dude's got to pass, or he don't give a fuck. But it shows how real and raw, and that you, no matter anybody's history and past, it's like, dude, we feel that shit. And then to be able to share this, man, I know it's not easy, dude, and I know the things that you've fucking seen in there and had to deal with, and just living around evil. And when you say monsters, like, I know what you're talking about, and I know just the pure hate that people are capable of, and what they're capable of doing is.
And then
don't forget that shit.
It comes down. We talked like earlier about like a split second that deters, like, completely changes somebody's life forever. And it could be that one bad day, that one dumb mistake, and you are paying. Like, I got homies that are never getting out. For the longest time. Like, I'm over here, like, I can't even enjoy a hamburger or a steak because I'm like, these motherfuckers are never gonna experience this, you know, and
never hold a woman again or their child, or
Yeah. So there's
all for something. It's like, how do we correct this? I mean, how does the system, how do we fix this problem where a guy that's in there, let's say he's got 2 years, and then get some, you fight over a microwave or over the phone because he's been on it too long, and egos rise up. Like, and this is where I feel it's this racketeering where it's like, oh, you broke a dude's nose because you were just handling it like men. Well, here's fucking 4 more points. Hey, that puts you over the top now.
Or what about this? Oh, you hang out with these group of guys that we put you in with and that you built a relationship with, and now you're STG'd. Now anything that you do, you're gonna have enhancements to this. Oh, what? Like, oh, you're gonna get out. We're gonna keep you away from everybody that you were locked up with. But who else are we supposed to trust? Like that motherfucker right there that I've been locked up with. He knows what I've went through. He's seen what I've seen, and now I cannot communicate with him at all. You know what I mean? Like that's and bro, like you spend a lot of time with your brothers, you know. So have I, and just like you, like I'm aware. I've sat down in sacred ceremonies with Fed agents, first responders, veterans, law enforcement, right? The trauma events that do take place, like one situation from going to prison or going, but they're escaping something. They're always escaping something.
Absolutely.
So it's just hard. It's hard to really kind of like connect with.
Mm-hmm. Wild, man. It is. It's an interesting world, and it's. I don't know how to explain how I feel for it, except for it's just a zoo mixed with a circus,
Yeah.
with corruption and politics, all built around money. And there's so many. I want to say good people that are good. When I say that, like, just have good hearts, and they're not like a guy like you. It's, you get these scenarios, you get in situations, you get caught up, ego, whatever it is, but you're not out here maliciously, that at least from our conversation and what I know about you, you weren't out here breaking it home. You're not raping women. You're not doing these horrible things that I feel like people should be put away for. You get caught up, and then it's this snowball effect. And then these guys just get into the system, and they get into the, I don't want to say games or the politics of the prison, but you have to fall into this in order to survive. Like, you have to. The guys that I've talked to in the past, like, I'm like, why couldn't you just stay out of it? Like, why couldn't you just stay in your own lane? And they're like, it's not how it works. Yeah. Like, you get pulled in, and at least for certain areas, like, I can imagine.
Yeah, there's different, like there's county different, there's state time different, there's Fed time different, sure. There's California different, Arizona different, there's different, right? Mm-hmm. I'm speaking solely on what I'm not speaking on any other type of prison. I'm speaking on Idaho.
Absolutely.
State time.
Yeah.
And this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And it, yeah. So
how do you feel I mean, in your opinion, how do we fix it? How do we fix the system? Since doing time in there and being in and around it and seeing what's going on, where do you see the worst? Where's the most corruption inside?
So that question, I've heard it a lot. I don't know how to answer it because I know what it took in order for me to get right. And I just got tired. Okay. I got tired, and I started understanding who and how and why I am the way that I am. And that's a whole lot of self-discovery that a lot of people can't even look the man in the mirror. And they need to figure out a whole bunch, like your trauma events, like what has happened. Why do you move the way that you move? Like there's a lot. There's a lot.
Too many layers.
Yeah. So for me, here I'll back. Okay. I get out, 2017. So try this CDL thing. I didn't realize that these truck drivers out here, they're on meth.
All of them.
They are on a go. They were on an upper.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to stop. I was driving truck, and I was trying to work, and I got a taste of it in prison. And then out here, it was everywhere that I was because I was looking for it at this point. You know what I mean? And I ended up going back. And then this time when I went back, I went to the pits. What I mean by that is, like, I went back for a traffic infraction. So it was a situation where I relapsed. I ended up at my homie's pad, and I I do a shot. I do a shot of meth.
Is this your first time since being out, or no? You got into it because
Yeah.
truckers are on all the pills and
Yeah, but this was like the first. I snorted meth when I was doing the thing, right, and that was my justification as far as like, oh well, I'm not banging it, you know.
okay.
But the first day that I banged it, I went to my buddy's pad, and one of my other homies was there, and I do this shot, and then it like instantly opened up this. These guys start talking. Hey, the feds are watching. They're watching the house. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, now I'm like,
Tripping.
all right. I'm like, I'm good. I'm dipping. I'm leaving. I don't want to, you know. So I go to leave, and my homie's like, hey, can I come with you? I'll have my girl pick me up at your pad, and I'm like, all right, cool. Just leave everything here. Make sure you don't have nothing. My ride's clean. So I'm still thinking that they're tripping and they're just being tweakers. I get in my ride. We take off. Sure enough, we get hit, and I don't want to say what happened in the car, but I kept going, and I pulled into my mom's.
How far did you go for?
Not very far. My reasoning, my intent was, I knew that they were going to tow my car, and I'd rather be right here in front of my mom. So that's what happened. And my PO shows up. Hey, if we find anything, like anything, you're done. You're gone. I'm like, that's cool. And he goes, what's going on? What's going on with you? I'm like, I just need to work, man. I just need to get back into the motion of things. I've been telling you I'm high. I've been pissing dirty. I've been telling you I need rehab. You want to throw me back in county? Tell me that's just as good. Like, so there's this guy that walks over and he goes, so you need to get paid, huh? And I'm like, I look at him. I'm like, who are you? He goes, well, my name's Mr. Coltwell or something. He goes, I pay for information. I'm a Fed agent. And I'm like, all right, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Like, cuff me,
Mm-mm.
cuff me up, and take me in front of the parole board and tell them that you pulled me over and I violated my parole for a traffic infraction. Like, I ain't got nothing to say to you, you know.
No.
And they're like, "That's the game you're playing." I'm like, "That's what it is." And I end up. They're like, "All right." So they tear my ride up. They don't find nothing. They send me on my way. Probably 6 months later, they hit me with a parole violation for running the stop sign because it was technically a crime. I broke the law. So I'm back in the pits. And now I got to put myself on front lines because ego is like, nah, hey, you came back. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. You're going to tell your homies that, hey, this is what it is. I'm front lines. If anything pops off, nobody's telling me to go in, sending me as a torpedo. I will be here. I'm going to be a gangster to the fullest. And COVID hit. And everything was shut down. Everything
Including
was
the prisons?
Yeah, everything shut. No movement, no nothing. Like nobody was doing nothing. And I'm not saying that. Thank you God for COVID, but I'm a big guy, and in that mindset that I was in, I've seen so many situations where somebody puts hands on somebody in a cell or going in for some work, and someone dies.
Okay.
And that's more time, right? That's more time, and you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You can't pinpoint. You can't tell the future, right? So that was my biggest worry for being as big as I am. Like, and then the whole thing is you're not going to stop until the COs come, and that could be a while, you know. So what are you going to do? Like that, I've seen some bad situations happen where they just keep going and going and going, and yeah.
Is it scary?
No.
Never.
No, that was like that was where I knew there was something wrong. So
Really?
yeah. So fast forward through COVID, there's so much shit going on, right? And there was a lot of self growth in that cell.
Because you're locked down.
Yeah.
Are you by yourself or you got Sully?
I got a homie,
Okay.
and he was down 9 years, and he had another 6 left, and prison was a little different. Mando workout still, but you were locked down. Bird bathing.
What's bird bathing?
You shower in the sink. You just
Okay.
clean yourself up in the sink. Put like a blinder up, and you know.
Do you think, did you prefer the lockdown over, I know it's probably was hell, but for...
No, I loved it. I loved it. Like, you got to understand, when it comes to prison, like, you are active from 5, 6 in the morning till 11, last count, when those doors are shut. And if you're, it's mandatory. You need to be out there, and like, you don't sleep. Your mattress is rolled up. You don't, like, people think that it's something more than, like, it's just, that mindset is straight war zone. Straight anything.
Survival.
Anything could pop off. Like, that door's open. If any, and it doesn't even have to be on me. If something else pops up with somebody else, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
it was almost, which I understand. I mean, fuck, if you're head on a swivel 24/7 from 6 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, there's so much time for shit to happen. So now you guys almost went from that style to full lockdown.
yeah.
You're almost in a max security now. Is probably what it feels like. And for you, that was like a fresh breath there in a way where you're...
Yeah, but now it's be careful what you wish for.
Okay,
now,
why so?
Because now I'm in that cell with my world's biggest critic, myself.
Okay.
Now these conversations in my head are getting a whole lot serious.
Like what? What
Like,
started
what am
to
I
change?
felt like a cartoon. I felt like a cartoon that I had all these ideas, and I started, like, I had enough time to breathe
And think?
and then start analyzing stuff for what was going on in my life, and it was just like I was tired. I was really tired. You could only escape. Like, for me, when I was locked up, it was working out, getting tattooed, that I was escaping my pain with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was for me. Just to feel something, right? Just to hold on to that, like, hey, you're still human.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you still feel something. It may not be a hug. It may not be a kiss on the head. It may not, but you're feeling something, and that's where you want to be, in that place.
Absolutely.
So I walk out of prison. At 31 years old.
So you had a lot of time to reflect.
A lot.
Did you start? I mean, so during this reflection stage, what was your mindset? Like, what are you preparing for? Because you have your year out date. They go into COVID.
No, well, I didn't. I was topping out. They denied me. They pulled all my street time up until that traffic infraction.
So that was the last time in there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm tracking now.
Yeah. So
Okay, so so you don't even really...
people were getting let out from COVID, and I'm like, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months. They're letting people out, but what they're doing is they're letting out people that are gonna come back. They're not letting out people that are hey, these guys are willing to put in the work and be productive members of society. That's what it is. That's the game. That's the game. Why send out people that
money?
Yeah, they know that they're going to cash out on these inmates that are not going to give them a headache. They're going to release these motherfuckers straight out of fucking the pits, and they will come back. They will return. Setting the stage.
God, they just set the trap for y'all, huh?
But it's a good. You gotta. Hey,
accountability.
That's a good business model. It works.
It's a great business model.
It works.
So you're self-reflecting. You're getting you're starting. Are you starting to get like self-motivated?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm just like, nah, I'm not. This ain't me.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done at this point.
Yeah.
Were you telling yourself you're not coming back, or does everybody tell them?
I knew I wasn't gonna come back. I remember telling my homies, hey, I'm front lines. I'm front lines right now, and I'm gonna be a gangster till I walk out that door, and then I'm gonna focus on myself. Instead of these guys being like, I can't live a gangster's life in prison anymore because I fucked up. I'm not accepted there no more, so I'm gonna start doing good. I wanted to be the homie that got out from being active and doing good, because that's okay to do too.
Is that more acceptable? Like, is that
Your reasoning behind it? Well, what's your reasoning behind it? Is it because of that? Is it because you can't go back and live this lifestyle, or you're gonna go back and you don't think PC is like the place to be, so you're gonna start doing good? Like, why can't you just do good just to do good? Why can't you just, because I've had a lot of in-depth conversations with killers that weren't killing to out of like, this is what I am. It was a fear factor. They were one situation that changed their whole life. Mm-hmm. And to hear a killer say like, "Hey, get out there, do good." I can't get out there. I will never get out. I will never walk out there. I will never have a job. I will never have a paycheck. But I want you to get out there and bro, send me some pictures. Send me. I don't even want money. Just send me an experience that you're doing, that you're going through right now. Send me like a picture of on your way to work, being stuck in traffic, gas prices. Take a picture of that. Send it to me.
That's so sad, man. You don't think of that kind of stuff. Is it? And hearing that, is that kind of solidify like, holy fuck, like this dude, I can't come back here.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're like, that's what I want to bitch about. I want to bitch about fucking traffic on the way to work. I want to pay bills. I want to bitch about that, and I'm like, damn, that is pretty deep. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
So
people don't think of that.
No. Or just walking out when you need a fresh breath, just walking out the door.
What's that feeling like walking out? Like you're that's it. You got whatever belongings you guess you went in with, which is probably nothing except for the clothes and your shoes. Yeah. Probably a couple bucks in your pocket, and you're walking through those gates for the first time out.
I didn't want to look back. I just, it was one of those, it was like, as a kid and you're walking down a dark hallway and like that darkness is creeping up on you and you're just like trying to get the fuck out of there. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to that. Like, I didn't want to look back. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I didn't want your socks. I didn't want these clothes. I didn't want nothing.
You're ready to shed everything.
Yeah.
So then what was it like for you?
Walking out?
Mm-hmm.
This time I walked out with I knew I was going to do something. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to do something different, and it fueled me. I was so ready. I didn't want a day off. I got 10 years in the prison system. I've had enough days off. And I was just hungry. I knew I didn't want to do driving truck. It was a confined area, away from home, on the phone, potential relapse. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Okay.
And I remember I was with my barber, and I'm like trying to game plan. I mean, this barber, my barber at the time, like, he's seen me grow, and he's seen me. He was the homie that did the barber thing, and he's successful.
Okay.
Right. And every time I went back or I was stuck in my addiction, he was still there cutting hair. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that's a pretty good life. Right. So I remember talking to him, and during COVID, I remember looking out one time where these guys are coming out to get their trays, and I'm just people watching, right? And two by two, these 2-man cells, they're coming out, getting their trays, they're going back in, and I'm like noticing like people let themselves go during COVID. They stopped caring about like their haircuts, their beards, their eating habits, their
hygiene.
Yeah, like they let themselves go. And I remember after like the 5th, 6th cell, I went and looked in the mirror, and I let myself go. I was still working out, but I looked rough. I had nobody to impress, and I was just like, that wasn't a thing, right? And I remember going and getting my food, coming back up, and I was just excited to pull out this beard trimmer that was set aside for a tattoo machine just in case they took ours. And I used it what it was intended for. And I remember cleaning myself up, gave myself a taper, cleaned up the beard, lined it up, and I felt good. And then my homie that's been locked up 9 years, going through this, he's not getting out anytime soon before COVID's done. Like, he don't give a fuck. So there's not a whole lot this man smiles about. And he looked over at me. He's like, "Hey, clean me up." And I remember I cleaned him up, and he was happy. And it showed me not only that, but me and him, we had this I clean him up, and he's happy. I notice it. I'm like, that's crazy. That's weird. Then we go get our tray for dinner, and now as we're walking out, people are noticing, and they're asking, "Hey, where's the barber? Where's the
who's trimming?"
Yeah, and they're letting the barber in. Who's cutting hair? Blah blah blah. And I remember the homie was like, the homie's a barber now. He's a barber now, and it just showed me how a simple haircut could make somebody feel and stand out to others in this chaotic time, right? So I'm like, you know what? Fast forward to me and my barber's chair. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. So I signed up for Paul Mitchell in Nampa. And so before I get into that, there was a situation, right? There was a life-changing situation for me where we get off lockdown from COVID. They give us our weights back. And I remember being in the gym and I'm working out. And I'm just in my zone. The weights dropping, the grunts, right?
Feels good again.
Yeah. And COVID lockdown, everybody gets off. And then there's things that are coming out about certain people getting held accountable. And there was this guy. They 3 guys jumped on him, and they got him. They got him, and there was blood. They were stomping him out.
Got him.
And for 15 minutes, they had to drag this guy in front of the bubble to where the COs were, because they were watching some YouTube video. And I watched this whole thing go down, and I watched it so peacefully, and so like I'm working out, and I'm just so lost in this. Like I'm noticing, like I'm not feeling nothing.
You're numb to this.
This is normal, and I knew, like, that's not okay. That's not normal to see that much blood, to see these COs, to not want to say, hey, CO, hey, like, do your job. You know what I mean? And I knew there was a problem. I knew I had a problem, and that was it. I wasn't emotionally, I wasn't feeling nothing. So when I got into Paul Mitchell in Nampa, it was the first startup day. And there was like 6, 12, I don't know. There was a big number of us. There was a handful of us that started that day. And all walks of life, all ages, both men and women. And the startup to Paul Mitchell is they have a clap-in, right? And it's where they're encouraging you. They're encouraging you to take this step in this career path. And they line up on either side of you. And you walk through them, okay? And as I'm walking through them, like, I'm noticing like physical responses happening. I'm noticing sweaty palms. I notice my face is like, it feels like it's red, right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I make it to the big meeting room, and I look around at these other people that I started with, and like their physical responses are very similar too, right? Because I read people, and because I want to know, like, hey, what, he's gonna jump? What?
Good, yeah.
And I'm noticing these people are having similar feelings and physical responses that I am, and man, how the fuck am I gonna walk on a tier full of killers, or killers in the mist, amongst everybody, and not and watch this situation with this guy, but not be scared. And then this beauty school, I'm fucking scared for, and then I'm trying to analyze what's going on with me. I'm like, okay, so I'm scared because what? The growth, the encouragement part, like, what is it? And then when I realized everybody else was feeling exactly how I was feeling, for the first time in my life in a very long time, I felt like everybody else.
Really? That felt pretty good?
That felt real good.
Felt alive again?
Yeah. So, like, yeah, it was good. It was good. I hadn't felt that in a long time.
How did you process that? Like that night when you were home, did you reflect on that at all? I mean, because these are new feelings for you. You went from such a cold...
I don't. It's just weird because it's not something that I could explain and talk to somebody about, because they don't know.
For sure.
You know what I mean? They don't know, and the motherfuckers that do, chances are, there's just the statistics of people getting out of prison, you know, you last good 3 months, maybe you got a good 3 months in you, and you're waiting for these programs to take off to pay for some sort of schooling, and like, it's like, are you gonna relapse? Are you gonna fall back into something? Are you gonna get with the female that's gonna put you back in prison over like, whoa? There's so much that could happen, but I wasn't able to talk to everybody that I got out of prison with at the time. They've went back. You know what I mean? And this is like 2-3 months later.
They're that quick.
Yeah.
Huh?
So processing it it just came with time, and it's like, okay, I know something's going on here. I know something's going on here. And with the program, man, I took advantage of everything. I took advantage, and there was modeling stuff that I did. There was, but you know, there was people that believed in like, hey, this guy, like, he really wants this. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that because, you know, the energy that I was putting out was where I'm at in my life right now. I see a lot of people trying to heal, seeking for forgiveness, seeking for healing, right? Because that's the energy that I'm putting out. At that time, I felt like drugs were everywhere and everybody was getting high because that's where I was.
Yeah.
So it was just that transition, that shift of who I kept around and who I had and who I latched on and wanted to connect with. It was completely different.
Yeah. And that felt good.
Yeah.
That's incredible how such, I don't want to downplay by saying such little encouragement, because it's a cool event and you're changing your life. But just a little,
so impactful. Yeah.
and it's sad to think of how many men and women, both sides, that have gone through time behind bar, and that's all they're missing is just a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of motivation.
Yeah. So I latched on to the beauty industry,
Okay.
because of how it made me feel. And you know,
Were you
what?
accepted? I mean, you're a big dude.
I stand out,
mean,
but this is the thing is, I stand out, and for the longest time, I try to hide that. I try to hide. Hey, this is where it is. But people love that. People love. People are intrigued by it, right? And I don't know why. Even look at the analytical part of 60 days in. Why is it that these numbers are hitting? What is it about this lifestyle that people are?
Yep.
They want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped hiding who I was. I started building my branding page. I still started building real-time results. And like, it was like the dope game. For me, being in the service industry, being in the barber industry, I was like, okay, when I was in the game, I didn't just hustle one thing. I had a variety of different clients. This is no different than the dope game, right? I want to do a shave. I want to do a different types of haircuts. I want to do a facial. Why do I want to do a facial? Because I could charge more. Why wouldn't you want to do a facial? You cool with $25, $35 cuts? Not me. Yeah. So I ended up doing, like I said, barbering, aesthetics, found out about scalp micropigmentation, and I'm like, okay, hair tattoo. I ended up getting my whole head blasted when I was locked up because I was receding on my hairline. I'm like, it's not the look. I don't want that look. I went to the most extreme. Now I look like this MS-13 cartel. Like, I have to smile a whole lot more. Hey, but your average person isn't going to go to that extreme, right?
Yeah. That's what I saw you. I was like, this dude sees some shit.
Yeah. So, but it's good. What it does for me is I'm able to tell that. I'm able to understand what somebody's willing to do to conceal their hair loss. And now the clients that I'm working on, I got into this S&P thing, and everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody thought, you're going to charge that, you're going to tattoo hair, people are going to buy that. Bro, focus on just cutting hair. And I didn't like that. I didn't like being told what to do. Yeah. I'm free now. You know what I mean? I didn't get out of a box to put myself in a box.
For sure. I love that.
So yeah, I looked at it. I connected with people just like the dope game. All this energy that I was putting into this negative lifestyle, now I'm turning it into this positive. And what's crazy is, I thought getting out of prison, I just had to stop doing bad. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you got to do good every fucking day and match yesterday's and keep surprising these motherfuckers, and you keep going, you know. And I was so stuck on my business, and I knew I wasn't ready for the relationships that I've been in. I've been in 2 serious relationships since I've been out, and both of them have been the same type of female. And deep down inside is because I've learned that there's some internal things that I haven't dealt with.
Like what, if you want me asking?
Okay, so I started doing. I got 10 years in the prison system. I'm growing in my business, but I know that there's something more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm having issues connecting with these women because I grew up being the protector. Like, I got 6 sisters. You're going to protect yourself. You're going to know how to take care of yourself when it comes to these guys, right? I had it all twisted. These women in my life are not soldiers. They're civilians, and they need to be. I should have held space for them to be in their divine, their femininity. You know what I mean?
Were you expecting them to be something else?
I just wanted to make sure that they were taken care of if I wasn't there.
Okay.
And that, again, like, it's like breeding a pit bull puppy and then that little motherfucker bites you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
you created that.
Yeah. And now you let's get into the conversation of like energy. Like, I had this invisible energy blueprint in my mom and my sister's lives of what a man is, right? Okay. So I'm aggressive, I'm big. I'm telling them, hey, you're gonna not anything a man should be doing to a female, right? And I may have been doing it out of good intentions, but if you look at the blueprint of what like a bad guy is, and then what I'm acting like, it's too similar.
They overlay.
It's too similar to where it's bringing confusion into these women in my life. They're looking at me like I'm a good man. They know I'm a good man, but there's just too many similarities, and they're getting involved in relationships that are not like that. I should have created this blueprint. That way, when another man comes and it's not good energy, they could see it. You know what I mean? But instead, it was just there was so many things that were familiar with it.
So when did that switch? Like, when did you realize, or are you still processing that? I mean,
let's see, probably a year and a half, 2 years maybe. Okay. After I got out, I ended up realizing that there was things that were holding me back, that were no longer serving me and my belief systems. And I went through some personal business and development seminars, and like, it started hitting me in these seminars. They're talking about they're like, what's your relationship with money based on, okay, a child's program. So they say you're programmed at the age of 0 to 4 at 30%, at 8, 50%, at 18, 95%, right? So a lot of what we do is based on a child's programming. We're not even like, there's just that's weird. That's to understand that, like, wow, running a stop sign or making certain like adult decisions is based on what your upbringing was. Mm-hmm. Made me really think about, like, okay, my first relationship with money, right? They asked me, what's your first relation? What comes up? When was the first time that you connected with money as a child? What did you see? And I'm like, all right, I'm going back, and I'm like, I see my mom and my sister's dads. He had a business, right? And when this business would do good, money would come in, and my mom would rush to pay these bills before he got his hands on it. And we would go to Chuck E. Cheese. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese. We'd stay there for like less than an hour. We'd play, eat, pizza to go. And it was because his connect lived right down the road. So he would go spend the money that for the family on dope. Rush us out of Chuck E. Cheese. My mom knew, she knew what was coming, and we wouldn't see him for 3 weeks. I didn't want nothing to do with money if that's what came with money.
Okay.
Right? So my relationship with money was based on a child's programming of what I experienced. Mm-hmm. And I had to change that. Mm-hmm. Right? And it couldn't be just, and I realized it can't just be just with money. Like, there's other things that are taking place where I've programmed myself, right?
Absolutely.
So my last attempt was I get out of this relationship, and we call it, and I'm entering this other relationship, and I knew I wasn't ready for it, and I was still like, my business is what I'm focusing on. It's the only thing that I care about because I'm somewhat successful, and I'm not letting that go. It feels too good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what happens with this relationship, but I knew that's not something that I can continue. And eventually, ayahuasca came into the picture through certain relationships with my ex, and got presented to me. And I was like, you know what? I heard about ayahuasca being like a factory reset for your belief system, and I got a lot of shit I need to deal with. And I felt like me going into the medicine, I wanted to be even with all the, like, survival mode did help me get through a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But
You're living in a different world then.
yeah, but it didn't justify the violence.
Mm-mm.
I still hurt people.
Absolutely.
And before, I felt like my business was gonna take off, and I was gonna be blessed, and I had a good family, and everything was good. I had an answer to that. So I went and did ayahuasca for the first time. It was like my ego. It was the first time I actually understood my ego. I seen my ego for what it was, and it has helped me through survival, but it's also prevented me from growth and accountability. And I remember the first time that I do ayahuasca, I went in, and it was like a rebirth for me. I was naked in a womb, and like I'm flexing, and like it's almost like I'm being like brought back.
Reborn again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And while I'm in, there's beautiful lights going on. It was just a beautiful experience. And then my ego jumps in the mix, and he's like, we're not here for that. You didn't come here for that. You came here for the violence and destruction that you've caused the world. And as my ego's saying this, there's situations that are coming up, and just bloody, just a lot of shit. And they call the spirit that comes with ayahuasca, grandmother. And as my ego's doing all this, I just felt like this connection with like we're not going to continue something that you already know. You're not here for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting you through that. That's your ego. Okay? And it was like the medicine knew that I could handle being hurt. I've been hurt my whole life. I could be in a situation where I'm not safe, and I'm going to be just fine, and I know how to deal with that. But to be loved, to be nurtured, to be hugged, to be just told that everything was going to be okay, and like I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
So after I got shot, I was told I would never be able to have kids again. There was 12 years where no scares, no nothing. 2 months later, after doing the medicine, my daughter's mom was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
Really?
And for me, there was this whole bunch of feelings, and like I knew she wasn't the one for me. But then I knew I have a second chance at being a father, and I hear all the time like, your kids deserve that.
Absolutely.
And there was just a lot going. She didn't know she wanted to keep the baby, and I couldn't force her to keep the baby. And there was just a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. We weren't ready, and she ended up keeping my daughter. And through this relationship, I've noticed my belief system as far as like when things were bad, it was like, all right, I'm done. I'll step out. And now that I'm a little bit more successful, now ego's coming in even heavier. Now there's females coming in, and now distractions, right? And I'm like, not knowing how to handle myself. They don't talk about this in pre-release. They're not, hey, you're going to be successful. You're going to get a lot of exposure, and there's going to be a lot of females from everywhere. And what are you going to do? There was just so much that was coming into play.
It's a distraction.
Yeah. So 2 months, it was Easter weekend, and there was an opportunity to do another ceremony. And at the time, I'm like, okay, why am I unhappy? I never thought I was going to be able to have a daughter, like a child. My girl's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I have money coming in. I'm driving a nice Benz. My business is doing good. My conversations are filled with substance.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not happy though? Inside, why am I not happy? So I took that opportunity, and for the first time in my life, I had a maid. Right? My mom would be pissed if I had a maid. She'd be like, "Hey, motherfucker," you know. Yeah. But my girl was pregnant. I felt like I had to take the stress off her. And what ended up happening is this is where I learned about energy exchange, right? So I'm the guy that everybody looks up to from where I'm from, and they're like, "Hey, you made it out." I became this mentor, and to people, both good and bad, people that want to fight me on, "Oh, you're built different. You're." It's they're just using excuses, right? So after these conversations of all this filled excuse, I'm mad. I'm mad at these conversations. I'm coming into it with good intent, but I'm leaving, walking away pissed off. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to the gym. I'm going to work, making money, going home. She's pregnant. Maid's cleaning the house, but I'm not cleaning the house. I'm not cleansing the house. I'm not paying attention to what energy that I'm bringing in.
Okay.
And this is when it hit. I went and did the medicine for the second time. And they said when the medicine gets scary, it's trying to show you something. And I didn't understand what that meant until this situation. So the visual was I was going through these hallways, right? And it was like an old school screensaver. And I'm going through, and I'm just going through, and I turn this corner, and there's this stairway that comes down, and there's this little girl on this stairway. And as soon as I lock eyes with her, like I've never been this scared before in my life. And I'm hyperventilating in the medicine, like I'm like in a panic attack. Mm-hmm. I rip off the mask, and I just remember like, hey, go back in, slow yourself down, calm yourself down. After like the fourth or fifth time, it was the fifth time, I was able to keep my mask on, and then go back in. This time I'm looking for this little girl, this stairway, right? And again, I turn around this corner, and everything slows down. And I see this little girl. And now I'm noticing things about her. She's very pure, very innocent, she's not some grudge girl coming down the stairs. Like this, she's very innocent, right? And I ask her, why did I get so scared of you? I was instantly shot into her body, and I was looking at myself. After processing it, I take it as that little girl was my daughter in the womb. And the energy that she was feeling, that I was terrified of, that she was terrified of, was the energy that I was bringing in from these different encounters and relationships. And then we get into this conversation of energy exchange, lineage trauma, generational trauma. Like it's being passed down, and we're not, like, my daughter's scared of me. She's scared.
Before it even starts.
Yeah, before it even starts. And that's something that we don't pay attention to. We're not aware of who we bring in our home. And like, that's the biggest thing. Like when I asked you, hey, do you take off your shoes here? That's keep that. Tell people, like, hey, we do take off. This is how I clean my home. This is how I respect my home. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. And then we go, like, the cleaning, the maid was a big thing too, is when you clean your house, you cleanse your house. You love your house, right? Nobody's going to do it like you. Nope. So there's so many good feelings that comes with that cleansing ritual. You know what I mean? But yeah, I left that even more connected. I've third journey was more of like ancestral lineage. And keep in mind, this whole time that I've done five different ceremonies, and I've sat down with people that us against them. I've sat down with first responders, veterans, law enforcement, just a variety of different types of people, right? And now these guys are my brothers. I know why it's us against them. I understand that. I can no longer walk in a room and not understand their perspective. You know what I mean? Especially these guys, these in law enforcement. You got generational trauma, right? Lineage trauma that's being passed down. My dad was a cop. His dad was a cop. It's almost like this, okay? It made me think about it because I'm so connected with the prison. Because I've been there. I felt the energy that comes with it. So imagine this. Somebody's on death row. They're going to die. You know they're going to die. That day in the prison, that up until the lights are dim, everybody's quiet. There's an energy exchange, right? And everybody knows this is happening. So you got a lot of guys that are going through the prison system that this might just be their last time in prison. They might have learned, right? But now they're experiencing these feelings, this energy exchange that's coming onto them. Now, part of that is lingering on. It's holding on to them.
And they don't even know.
They don't know. And then, you know, you got the inmate that dies and he leaves behind something. And it's nothing that's going to help the next person, right? Again, I know it sounds really deep and there's just so much. There's so much when it revolves around trauma events.
For sure.
What I've found with even relationships, right? You heard the song, it's a thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line between love and rape. And what I mean by that is we're out here having sexual relationships with like for me, with women that we don't know their traumas.
No.
We don't know their traumas. I don't know what they've experienced. And we're thinking sex is just sex, right? We're rubber.
For us.
There's more to that. There's more to that. Let's say like men don't think about it. I don't think women do either until really put in the moment. But it could be, you know, during sex, it could be something that you do. It could be a hand motion. It could be just whatever it is, a sound, a smell that's putting these women or these men back in that situation, and for a split second, or it could be like they could look at you like the abuser. And it will change. It will change the whole dynamic of the relationship. So what happens? Like what is it that? Where does it change? What's the stopping point? What's the healing point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is when I first one of my last times doing it, my fourth time. Like I know people are going to hear this and they're going to think this medicine, this ayahuasca is like, oh, this guy's tripping balls, and they're going to discredit what I'm saying, right? Me, I know that this medicine is. I've been on pills. I've been on these therapies. I've done the most to try to heal, and okay, so I ended up going and I could talk about this because where I'm at in my life, and I know it's going to help the next person. And I know some people when they do discuss this or want to put this out there, they're putting out anger. They're putting out insecurity. They're putting out the fears, the hurts, right? They're expressing it that way. They're not verbalizing it. I'm able to do that because of where I've went in the medicine and what I've learned. But
path on healing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of healing, is being able to talk about it.
So with my daughter's mom, I'm gonna lay out a situation. So 2 weeks prior to taking my daughter's mom to do this medicine, we were fooling around. And she goes down on me, and I'm like, just keep it in your mouth. Don't do nothing. And I didn't know why I was asking. I didn't know why I was asking for this, but I was like, deep down inside, I don't know. I did not know. Okay. Well, after 2-3 minutes, like it just got weird, and so many feelings of anger. Like she looked at me like I was crazy, and like I got mad. I left. And then 2 weeks later, we end up going and I do the first night by myself. Second night she comes, and I've never been this connected with a woman before. I seen her without her insecurities, without her angers, without her hurts. I seen her for I've never been this close before. And after a long night of just being in the medicine and just there's so much that happened. There was a situation that was laid out where I told her, I'm like, don't feel bad for me, don't judge me, don't just listen to what I'm about to say. And that's what I just need to get it out because it was very clear of what happened, right? So I was 6 years old, and I was at the babysitter's, and I was in the back room with her husband. And I remember the carpet. I remember the jeans. He came, he goes, hey, he actually pulled me into the room. He goes, hey, you want some coins? You want to meet a dragon? And I'm a kid. And again, I'm in the medicine, and this is being displayed. So he goes and sits down. He shuts the door. He sits down in this rocking chair that he has. And he goes, okay. He goes, you want this money? I'm like, I'm a kid. I'm like, yeah, I want the money. I want the money. He goes, okay. So he puts it on his lap. He puts this whole bunch of change on his lap, and he has me counting them. And as I'm counting them, he has me dragging them across his lap and putting them in my pocket, right? And eventually, there was no more coins in the pile, and he goes, okay, if anybody asks, you got this from the dragon. I'm like, okay. He goes, you want to meet the dragon? Long story short, how I had my girl that night and my daughter's mom with her in my lap is how he had me, right? And that showed me like we are doing things that we are unaware of based on trauma events like that, sexual abuse like that. Like I knew the 11-year-old me going through this thing with my aunt. I knew about that, and I didn't fully understand. I knew why I escaped, but 31 years old, walking out of prison, I knew that there was something more.
Absolutely.
Right? In this situation with like what other medicine, what other type of therapy or what like would have laid out that scenario, that situation. We suppress so much. And again, like me sharing, like there's going to be a lot of men that are too masculine to bring up a situation like this, but they're not helping anybody. They're not helping anybody. But yeah, exactly. And me, I know it's deep. I know it's something. But after that situation and laying that out, I felt so relieved because I understood my inner child. I understood why I was so mad and angry and fighting off the world, why I didn't trust, why, I understood myself.
Once you process that, did you have this moment where you almost like got just, you felt all the years
felt one with myself. I just felt like there's invisible chains of trauma that are holding us back that, you know what? And sometimes people aren't ready to go in the medicine. You got to be on the path of forgiveness. You got to be on the path of healing. Just I did a post the other day, and it was about like, when I say I'm sorry, why is it that when we say we're sorry to somebody and they don't accept it, we're mad? Why is that? They're not on the path of forgiveness. As long as we know it's genuine and it's coming from the heart, we got to accept. Sometimes I'm sorry isn't going to do anything for the other person. No. It should. I'm sorry is for you.
Absolutely.
And I know that may be a little selfish, but you have to understand that.
Like you just said, everybody's in their own stage. Everybody of healing or not, or acceptance or not, and so for you to be able to genuinely tell somebody that is for us. I mean, because you're truly meaning it. Now it's up to that person, whatever stage they're at, to be able to accept it or not. And so, I agree with you 100%. When you, like, as a man, when you, hey, I'm sorry, it's my fault, we truly mean it. And if people aren't ready for it, and I think a lot of people expect things in return.
Yeah.
Like
That's a big problem.
when you gift somebody, or you give somebody even a compliment or anything, I feel as a society, or just who we are as humans, we all like want to, hey, well, where's mine?
Yeah.
I gave it to you. I gave you a compliment.
It's
Where's
a
my
learned behavior,
compliment?
though. That's a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And like another thing I learned about the medicine was like we're constantly doing one of three things at all times: finding balance within and without,
Okay.
healing no matter how big or how small. Right? You get a thorn, you get a sliver, like your body's reacting to that.
Absolutely.
And it's healing itself, right? And then like the third one is like this is one is a learned behavior I feel is we've disconnected with is helping the next person.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that there's 10 people in a room, one person falls, comes in, they fall, 2 people, 3 people are on that phone trying to record the situation, 1 or 2 maybe go up and help, and the other ones are maybe standing back like this is none of my business, it's like that's not me, I don't care, I don't know this person.
Yeah.
Like those are learned things that we've definitely disconnected from,
For sure.
and it sucks.
It does.
Sucks.
I think as a father too, it's a huge, that falls on a father's role from a very early age. Is you know, obviously I don't have sons, and you have 2 daughters that I know of. I feel that's where it's us as not a dad, but as a father.
Yeah.
Pick them up.
Yeah.
How don't expect anything. Just be that person when they see you. That guy helped me, you know, or hey, she helped me up, or lended a hand, and just cool. Hey, have a nice day, and that's all it takes. And you don't even know really that hand that you put out, what that path of that person was on that day or that month, or what they've lost, or they're grieving, or anything along those lines, of something so simple as just being there without expecting anything in return to help somebody, and what that can do for somebody else, and to set the example for our kids.
Yeah, the kids part, it's huge because, you know, I look back at 18 years ago, I was a 16-year-old kid that was a father
Mm-hmm.
that didn't know about my traumas and didn't understand why I was so angry at the world. And I was supposed to be there. There's no way. There's no way. And then now, 18 years later, now I have a beautiful baby girl that comes into the world, and I'm over here trying to hold on to my relationship. Like I'm putting myself through misery. Both of us are unhappy, and I'm still putting, and I'm still like, oh, that's what families do: sacrifice, right?
Mm.
There comes a point where you have to pull out, and I learned that the hard way. And like, even in the medicine, it showed me like, okay, me understanding my daughter. I don't know what she's experienced, but by me being there for my daughter now, I understand my oldest more. Me rushing to go pick up my daughter because she has a dirty diaper. Me changing the diaper. Me bringing comfort to this little human, this little baby girl.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and I wasn't there. I wasn't there for my daughter like that. Her first heartbreak, her first, her bottle, a burp. Me burping her, like that connection, me understanding my daughter and what she like, hey, this isn't normal for her. Hey, do this. I didn't have that connection with my oldest. And
do you now, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, you got an 18-year-old or 19, she's right in that age, but have you had the opportunity to reconnect, or is it?
So we're reconnecting on a slower pace.
Okay.
I let ego get in the way of like, when I got out, her mom wanting to change her last name, or my daughter wanting to change her last name before she walks down graduation aisle to her mom's name, because I wasn't there, and that was a hard pill to swallow. But that did bring up like this, like, I gotta respect her. I want to respect her. I want to make sure she knows that I hear her, but I'm not okay with it. I'm not happy as a father, and especially being a girl dad. You know that there's hopefully a good guy is going to come, and that last name, your last name, is going to change. And for that reason, because I wasn't there, like, that just hit differently. And that's why I moved the way. I don't want to relive anything. Like, I know the fire's hot. I know the hurt that it's caused. Why am I going to continue that? Yeah. And with my daughter now, like, you know, I'm in the heap of it, right? People say, hey, I'm changing. But are you? Well, like, what are you going to do when you are put in a fucked up situation where you are being tested? When your reputation is being destroyed, how are you going to react and respond? And I'm in the mess of it right now. I hadn't seen my daughter for a restraining order got put on me. My daughter's mom is just so angry and pissed off and hurt that it didn't work, and it's because of what I've done as well. Like,
This is your oldest daughter's mom or your youngest?
My youngest. I've stepped out on the relationship. When things have gotten hard, cool. It's not gonna work. I'm dipping. That disconnect it's not okay. That's not okay. And I'm not saying I don't want to get into the details of what she said, but these are some things that, like, my prison belief system is like, and for me to experience what I've experienced, you just don't say these things.
I get it, man, but at the same time, it's like, how long are you going to live in that mindset?
Yeah, no, and I had to.
And
I had to let. I had
it's
to
probably
let
tough
it,
for you. You've been programmed,
yeah.
you know.
But me to be aware of that and be like, okay, this isn't it. I can't react and respond to this, right?
Those are huge steps.
And again, people say, yeah, I'm a good guy. Okay, are you? Are you a good guy? Like, I haven't seen my daughter, and the restraining order gets dropped. The judge sees and hears what my daughter's mom's saying, and he's like, no. For the first time, I went to court, and I didn't even have to speak, and like, I had a paid lawyer, and I had the evidence just to back my play, and for the first time, I wasn't judged. I wasn't judged, and this judge actually was like, hey, man, like, if it's not clear, it is clear now. I hope that you're smart enough, and just be a good dad. So we're going through this court process right now, and she has to be served, and she has 21 days to respond, but she's dodging the server. And I was there when my daughter was born, and I've been there every day since. I'd go out and travel. I do a lot of education, but I was there. I've been there, right? And going from like full-time job, work, gym, father, to not having my daughter, not feeling like I'm lonely right now. I'm lonely, and it's not because I want intimacy with I know what an intimate relationship with my daughter is, and me and my daughter's mom have been disconnected on a sexual level for a very long time. Where that I'm not missing that. I'm missing this little girl and just
the joy
being
of holding your daughter.
So I hadn't seen her in a month, and the restraining order gets dropped, and I've been paying child daycare, and I reached out to the daycare. I'm like, hey, is my daughter there? She comes Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like, is she there? And they're like, yeah, she's here right now. So I rush over there, and I go in, and I didn't know what I was doing yet. Well, I did know what I was doing. I knew I was going to go over there, and I was going to see my daughter, and I knew I had every right to take my daughter and play this game that my daughter's mom's playing by hey, once the custody is established, then you can see your kid. I'm better than that. I'm a protector. I'm a father, right? And for me to sit there, I sat there with my daughter for like close to 40 minutes, and I'm in tears, and I'm just seeing my daughter. My daughter wakes up, and she looks around, rubs her eyes, and then she looks at me, and the biggest smile. This little lady is the only person in my life that's excited to see me like that. You know,
it's such an incredible feeling.
And for me to take my daughter back into the daycare, not knowing when I was going to see her next, it showed me where I'm at in my life. You know, it's not easy. But I know right now I'm building, and while I'm being destroyed on my reputation over here, I need to build even more. And I'm good. I'm good because I know what type of man I am. I know when no one's looking, and why. I'm a protector of this beautiful baby girl, and I'm not gonna match this energy from this hurt and this anger from another woman.
No,
and I can't do that.
Ain't worth it.
Yeah,
ain't worth it, man.
So I'm good. It's good to feel. It's good to just be able to talk about it and just be like, yeah. Because there's not a lot of men out there that are going to say, hey, fuck, no, I gave into ego and I gave into my selfish wants. And I took my daughter and I did what she did to me. It's not about me and her. It's about my daughter, you know? So
What's been your biggest lesson from that?
which part?
From the time in to having a baby girl to the battles you're doing now, like what's been your biggest learning? Because I mean, dude, you got a history, man. You got a past, and I'm sure people are just wanting to throw that shit around and use it against you. But having all of that and learning and going through the fucking trenches to be able to go to school, get licensed, start building a business, and then you've gone all this, but it's that baby girl, man. Those are the greatest lessons or the greatest gift that we'll ever have. Like, what's been your biggest lesson of being able to control everything and stay level headed? And
It's not about the money. It's about family.
mm-hmm.
And I never had that before. I never had a male figure to come in. And what's crazy is, like, again, I know what it's taken for me to get to where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people ain't going to go down that path. Even on doing ayahuasca, like, again, some people can't even be honest with themselves. Like, for me right now, I understand that family is important. The energy that I put out, I will receive. I need to be cautious of what I bring into my life, who I bring into my life, and what they have and need healed in their life. Like, I don't want to be judgmental. I want to be, I don't know, these women, men, the traumas. If you are not healing yourself and then you're getting into these relationships, for me, I'm getting into the exact same type of relationships because there's things that I'm attracted, that I'm not dealing with and I haven't. And for me to be honest and just like be in my headspace now, I know I'm not aiming to get with like, that's not my goal right now. Like, if it happens, cool, but I know with the energy that I'm putting out, I am going to attract some really good people in my life.
Absolutely.
So the accountability part's huge. The just awareness, being aware of everybody in the room, not just my selfish ones.
Do you pray at all?
So the ayahuasca, look, a lot of people walk by faith, right?
Okay.
I know there's a God.
Okay.
I know there's a God. There's no, like,
There's no doubt.
no.
Yeah.
I pray. I pray and I go to church.
How's that helped you?
So in the darkest times, I've looked back and I'm like, in the darkest times in my life, even as a child, you know, my mom's getting beat in the other room and I'm talking to somebody. I'm talking to God, you know, and I'm asking him why. And these when I'm in the hole and when I'm in these miserable spots, I'm talking to, and I'm asking him why. And then now life is like, this is why, like, there's always lessons to be learned. Mm-hmm. And if I never went down the path that I went down, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have tried to dig in deeper. I wouldn't try to be the best man that I could be, the best father, you know, and I'm just open. I'm open and letting go is a huge thing, but God is good.
God is good. Can I ask you a personal question?
Mm-hmm.
Everything you've gone through and battled and overcome, when you look in the mirror, who do you see?
I see me for who I am. I see me without the tattoos, without the ego. I see me as a kid. I see me. I see my fullest potential, my fullest capability. I see my struggles, but I don't let that define me. It's just I see why I am the way I am. I love me.
Good, man. Last question. If you could tell your mom one thing, what would it be? If you could leave a message for her. She's been through a lot. She's watched her son struggle. She's raised 6 daughters and you. If there's one thing that you could leave for your mom that you'd want her to know, what would it be?
that I love her, and it wasn't her, it was me, but it had to be done to get to where I'm at. Not and not all the bad and hurt and chaos was for no reason. It would be for no reason if I'm not at this point that I'm at now, you know. But I thank her. I thank her for believing in me when, you know, he almost killed this guy. He's a gang member. He's a drug dealer, and she said, I see his. She believed in me, and that's unconditional love.
Yeah.
And I think just to understand that right there, that's something that I want to be. That's something that I want to contribute to my daughter.
Yeah. Well, man, I see how passionate you are about your daughter, and as a girl dad, just be there for her.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be shitty times and baby mama drama and people trying to test you and your ego. Just put her first for everything, and however you can help with your oldest and mend that. It might take years, man. Just don't give up on that either, because holding the title of dad is a lot different than holding the title as a father. And so,
I've never understood it. I never had a dad. You know, and now that I'm like, this is a dad. Me walking around smelling like my daughter's piss, that's me being a dad. It's not my
formula.
piss. Yeah, it's not my throw up. It's not my. I'm proud to wear these stains on my shirt from her nose.
I love
you know.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, life is good, man, and I'm good.
Damn, dude. Now. You know, you've lived a hell of a life, man. It was incredible talking to you.
Yeah.
This was great. I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you just opening up and having this conversation with me. Like I told you in the beginning, I don't know where these go.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot for, I feel like, a man of your stature and look and appearance and everything to be real. I feel as our society and social and what a man is, I feel we're going too far alpha raw shit. Mm-hmm. When I look at you and you're able to sit here and talk about your vulnerabilities and your strengths and your weaknesses, and to me, as somebody that I've seen some shit and been around the world, like that to me is a fucking man.
Yeah.
It's not some dude that's hard and goes to the gym and walks around with his chest puffed up ready to fight the world at all times, which I thought that was a man for a long time.
I think we all do.
Absolutely. It's chapters and phases, and as we grow and mature, I feel the ones that are lucky, we see what really matters in life, and those are our little girls or our kids, and taking care of whoever we can and helping along the way, man. So I want to say, from not knowing you from Adam, except for this conversation, I'm super proud that you've made it out to where you are. You're the small side of statistics that are getting out of the system. There's not a lot of guys that could sit here and be as proud and be able to talk about the things that you have and what you've accomplished, because how our system is set up, it is not in favor of anybody.
But with that being said, you start taking accountability and start redirecting that energy and what you're doing. Like, you will win. You will win. And
absolutely.
For the longest time, I lied to myself and I played the victim, and you got to let that shit go.
Yeah.
So, But for me to be here and I know my story is not something that everybody wants to go and share to the world. And I know there's going to be people that are like, I don't know why he's up there. He looks like, I don't care. I know that those people that are right here and they're listening to me, those people that are stuck in their addiction and they know that they're better than that, the people that are in those cell blocks that are like, nah, man, like, I want to live. I don't want to just survive. I want to live.
Thrive.
You know, like, I'm talking to them in the misery and happiness. Like, whoever's meant to see this, they're going to get something from it. And that's what keeps me pushing.
100%, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Dude, I will have you on anytime. Even fuck this episode or podcast. I want to just sit down and get to know you more. I think you're an incredible dude, man. This was great for you to be able to share everything, and it's not every day I get to sit down and talk to somebody and like feel good and have that conversation. Yeah. You've been through hell, and it's been pretty cool, man, to be able to hear the couple hours that we've been able to talk. I mean, I know there's so much more to
there's so much more coming.
Yes, dude.
It's beautiful. Where I'm going to be at in 5 years, like, this is the longest I've been out of prison. So, and I do keep in touch with my homies locked up that are never getting out, and I send them pictures and videos and my accomplishment. I'm sending them celebrity pictures that the S&P I'm doing on them. You know what I mean? Like, I still keep in touch. Life is good. God is good.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure, man. This was great.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, that was. I wasn't sure. You know, you never know. I wasn't sure if you